If you can hear the sound of my voice, if you can hear my voice, you're hearing my voice. If you can hear my voice, if you can hear the sound of my voice, you are on LSD. LSD, 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 LSD. You are on the Lonely Screen Delicatessen channel.
And we're live.
Is the intro going still or no?
No, we're live right now.
Oh, well then if you can hear the sound of my voice, you're on LSD. And I don't mean the mind-altering substance. I mean the show where me and Mike talk about a bunch of stuff. Or whatever. Or the other people talk. What's going on, man? How's it been this week in your neck of the woods?
Doing nothing. We
editing videos of us eating food?
Yes. Like we were talking too about this like before we got on here. We had a little bit of success with one of our videos, which was pretty cool.
Yeah, it was an easy one to make because it's what we do anytime that we're just hanging out after we end up doing music stuff.
Yeah, and then you were saying so we're gonna actually if you guys are interested, in helping us spread the word, we're gonna be doing more videos like that.
The cool food vids. Stuff. Share them for us.
Yeah, share them for us. Apparently, I don't know, YouTube liked our video even though we curse a bunch in it and
It's good. It's good-hearted though.
Yeah,
it's good-hearted. It's good-hearted cursing.
So I'm gonna be putting out my video of me cooking that same week. The worst thing that you could possibly eat. It tastes good, but it's one of the worst things for you. It's got your month's worth of calories, fat, and salt,
sugar and sodium in one blast.
Sugar and salt in one little tube of meat.
I think the coolest thing about those videos though is if we were or weren't filming, it would be the same exact thing. The night with the sausage, I think it was you, me, and Gene. And because the quarantine was deep at that point in time, we were shopping for ingredients in little Quick Marts and shit, and fucking looking for rice in one spot, trying to find soy sauce in another spot, and then fucking coming back to the Airbnb and cooking up the dish. And then the time before that with the sauce was just you and me going hey, we're gonna go have some drinks, and let's make sure there's something awesome to eat when we get back from these drinks. We got all these loaves of bread from Western Beef, so let's fucking make sauce. It's just organic and fucking fun. It's such a good time.
It's just us hanging out, being fat guys, fat kids,
enjoying being fat guys.
Yeah. So I was thinking because with that series you can be yours could be good food and mine can just be bad food
It could just be whatever though.
No, because
there's some stuff that I'm sure I eat. Dude, I do a fucking fried ravioli that I haven't done in years just because of what it feels like after you know what I mean?
I told you the other day I ate a whole package of those sausages, and only because I've been taking my heart medication did I not feel like I was gonna pass on, my heart was gonna fail. But I still, my stomach was don't eat those anymore. Humans shouldn't eat those.
We're getting to that age where
and it you have violently shit outside.
We're getting to an age where we have to start to really consider our intake at a different level, or just sign off on the fact that you might check out before 50.
Right.
I recently
don't want to
gone on a real I recently have gone on a real Gindaloon binge. I've been Italianing out lately. And feeling my Italian roots and watching a bunch of shit on YouTube about Italian history and making fresh pasta with my kid. I made fucking gnocchi today for just lunch. Just a big giant thing of gnocchi. I've been feeding my wife ravioli every fucking day. I made this stuffed herb and goat cheese ravioli. I made spinach
we should make
pasta
that.
With ricotta. I can make it anytime. I made fresh pasta. I made it was kind of like linguine. My kid made it, so it was rough linguine. But she made her first homemade pasta, and then I made these big Napolitan style ragouts with a bunch of fucking pork, and then I made braciole, rolled beef with stuff inside it, and you just leave that in the sauce, and then 4 or 5 hours into the sauce, you pull those out and eat those in the middle of it while you're waiting another 3 for the sauce.
Do that,
dude. That shit. That's what we did here just the other day, and so we've had this giant fucking pot of ragu that I made that I've been just lighten up whatever random pasta I've been feeling and I've been doing that every day for the past couple weeks. So I've gained a couple lbs. My wife's feeling a little sluggish. She's not happy with the menu lately, but I mean she eats it every time. So what are you gonna do? But yeah, that shit. Being a fat guy, it's just food is so It's one of the best carnal joys. You know what I mean? Like
Well, it's
that's
the
I think
most
I'm a
human
glutton
thing.
for all kind of carnal shit because it's
Yeah.
just so like
Every
anything
human
you can
has to
like.
eat.
What's that?
Everybody has to eat. Every human has to eat.
Yes, except for really sad ones that are in real bad situations and they don't last too fucking long.
Yeah, yeah. You know,
That don't go.
our
That don't
future,
wash.
America's future, the gulag. You didn't work hard enough. No food
The
for you.
gulag.
Um,
The gulag. Is it going to become like the fucking like Nottingham Forest where you can't kill the king's deer? You know what I mean? Like,
I mean, probably,
eventually.
eventually. I don't know, man. That's I don't want to talk about that. What I was gonna talk about was, uh, so like, I understand like that's like Italian stuff is like really good, but it's bad for you, right? But
It's
like,
interesting though because they all fucking are not fat over there
yeah, well, it's
comparatively.
because they go run to get all the stuff to put in their
Well, here's
bag,
the other thing too, though.
ingredients.
They have different flour. It's just a different. If you look
Yeah,
at our flour, like our stalks of flour compared to the ones in Europe, it
well,
just looks like a different thing.
theirs
Ours
are like
is like
Durin.
well, ours is also like been crossbred over and
Yeah,
over and
for
over again
optimum,
to
and
be the
it'll
most
grow.
durable
Yeah, and
and
it'll
like
grow. Yeah,
protein laden and all that stuff. So it'll grow in any condition
yeah,
and it'll stay in you longer. It's
yeah,
naturally more like hardy, so it's gonna stay. So what I've been doing now, we just got our first fucking big gigantic like several pound bag of Anna Napolitana fucking double O fucking
yeah. 00. Woo.
flour.
Yeah,
So we're gonna start making pasta with that.
nice.
But
Well,
yeah, it's one of those things too where I realize like, I have one grandparent left.
mm,
You know what I mean? And she doesn't really cook as much anymore at all. And my kid's not going to have a connection to like a lot of that stuff.
yeah.
You know what I mean? So
Hmm.
I feel like a responsibility to be like, all right, like you are a quarter Italian on your dad's side, and this
Yeah,
was the food I grew up with. My I would go to my like white friends' houses or like my single parent friends' houses. And my mom was a single parent,
yeah,
but she just cooked every day. Or like my single dad friends' houses
yeah,
more than anything. And fucking my buddy Elliot, his dad had a freezer full of like Stouffer's instant dinners,
yeah. Hmm.
and fucking they were like a novelty to me when I was a
Yeah.
kid. I was like, what is this? I can just make a lasagna in 2 minutes. Like what the fuck? And fucking I loved those. And when my mom found out that I would eat that shit, she was like, what the fuck is wrong
What
with
are
you?
you
I
eating?
make fucking. She's like, there's fresh baked ziti in the refrigerator right now,
Yeah.
and you're eating a fucking microwave lasagna. You fucking pig! Like, what? She talked to me like straight up like that.
So,
You fucking
so
pig!
like,
Like,
but what I'm
fucking
saying is like you're making good food, like
trying to, yeah, yeah, for
so
sure.
like Filipino food is like, so like Spanish food, right? And is like kind of like the base of most like European food, you know, like
Sure, a lot of it. Yeah.
right, a lot of
Well,
it,
yeah, yeah.
you
Some
know,
French has a lot of
yeah,
influence in there too.
exactly, right.
There's a couple of culinary
So I feel
schools of
like,
thought coming out of Europe.
yeah, I feel like the Italians took all the good stuff
Because the
from
Russians are a big
from
chunk of it, and
Spain.
it's like we
Yeah.
pickle all the things. You go on a
Well, I'm
plate.
saying like I feel
Soup is cold here.
like Italy
Fucking,
took all the good stuff from Spain, and they're like, yeah, yeah, this is good. We're gonna make it better. We have better
well,
ingredients. You
that's
guys
on one
suck,
coast, right? And then the
right?
other side, they took a lot of shit from Greece too.
So, and then the Filipinos are like, wait a minute, we can boil fat and fry it in fat. It's like I'm like, oh yeah. Also add sugar. Wait, what is this white powder?
Well,
Wait,
that's
why don't
like
we put sugar in everything? So like,
Cubans are similar to
yeah,
that too, where it's like, oh, here's a cup of coffee anywhere, and then have a Cuban cup of coffee, where
yeah,
it's like, and then like fucking, same thing with like I had not really known much about what to be kosher, and
yeah.
my wife's some of her family members are keep kosher, and they're
Kosher's
like, well, I can't have
good.
the Cuban bread, and I'm like, well, we can't, and so because they make it with lard. Cuban bread is made with the fat of
Fat.
pigs.
Yep.
And that's what makes it extra light and delicious and fluffy and crackly and
So
you know what I mean? Like,
the other thing I could make is pork blood, like pork. Like the Filipinos apparently make some really good.
yeah, like blood sausage.
Yeah, but it's just in a pot with rice, and it just smells like vinegar.
Oh,
It only
oh
smells
yeah,
like
yeah.
vinegar. That's the only thing
There's
it
a lot
smells
of
like.
vinegar in Filipino food, right?
Yeah, yeah. It only smells like vinegar, and like the whole house will smell like vinegar. Like it may be an outdoor thing if we cook it, because like they'll
It's
yell at you.
funny
You
too.
won't be invited back to that Airbnb if we cook it there.
So when you are growing up, when you were growing up, rather, were you aware that your house had different smells?
No,
Like,
it
or
wasn't
did
my
someone
house.
have to
It was
make
my
you? I'm saying
grandmother's house.
eventually, like,
Yeah,
or
yeah.
like, because I know like my buddy Gabe, one of my best friends in life, all time. He was like a sparring partner of mine during fighting. He joined my band. He just learned the bass and joined
Yeah,
my
yeah.
band when I got into music. He's a maniac. I love that guy. But he would be like coming over to my house and be like, "Smells good here." Like, "Oh yeah, what does it smell like?" He's like, "Spanish." like it's like,
yeah.
at my dad's house, he'd be like Spanish. He'd be like, "Yeah, your grandparents' house smells totally Italian." I'm like, "How does it smell Italian?" He's like, "Olive oil, garlic,
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
fucking basil. Like I can smell that shit in the air."
No,
Like, and
like,
he's right. Everybody's
yeah.
house. My buddy of mine, Z, growing up, his house smelled like fry oil, and he was Asian. His parents would be frying shit all the
Yeah.
time. Like, and so it would be like
My
a slight fishy fry oil like smell at his house.
my
And so
house
like,
did not smell like anything because my mom
I'm
was
just saying.
white and her
Well, my
husband
buddy
was white.
Tom from
Yeah.
Tom Eats It, his mom worked at a radio station. She was working all the time, so his house smelled like those microwavable twice baked potatoes.
Ah.
That's what Tom's house.
My house
The
smelled
divorced
like
mom fucking food of choice.
bleach. My house smelled like bleach because my mom had me bleach a lot of surfaces a lot and clean everything a lot. Mine smelled like cleaner.
I have a real strange love of a bleach smell because
Yeah.
if you woke up in my house, right, like boom, wake up and you smell bleach to where it's like burning your nose, that means my grandfather was there
Yeah.
and he started cleaning, and you gotta fucking jump out the sliding glass door ASAP if you don't want to get caught up in that fucking tidal wave. And the other way that you knew, what would happen is like my grandfather would just pop over
Yeah.
and want to help my mom with something because she was, single mom. She would work 2 jobs a lot of the time. So she'd be like, "Oh, I got to do this and that." He'd be like, "Oh, let's go to the grocery store," and then he'd take it upon himself to like mop the whole fucking house, like,
Yeah.
and
My
fucking
dad
do it with
does
just
that.
raw bleach.
My dad does that without us asking, but he'll like do our dishes, and I don't know where stuff he puts stuff away. You know, he doesn't know where
hilarious.
they go.
In his own pattern, right?
They don't. He doesn't know where they go. So like, I'll be looking for a pot, like a couple of months down the road, and I'll be like, all of our cups are down here in the back because he's short, and he's like, well, I can't reach where it looks like
That's
the cups
fucking
go.
hilarious.
So I'm just gonna, and you can tell he didn't like throw them in there with care. He just threw them. He like opened up the door. He's like, if I throw them in there fast enough, they'll get enough momentum to where they'll still be moving towards the back when I slam the door shut.
That's hilarious.
And I'm like, yeah, my dad was here.
Yeah, man, that shit's hilarious.
But
What's like, but you have those little things that you grew up with, where you're like, that little like
smell. My house didn't smell. My grandmother's house didn't smell. My grandmother's house smelled like we ordered.
Now again,
Chinese food.
Smell doesn't mean smell bad. You know what I mean? It just
has. My dad's house smelled bad. My
dad's house.
My dad was like smoking meth with hookers in the garage.
My dad's house smelled like, the smell of like you waited just a touch too long to put your clothes in the dryer from the washer.
The mildew
like when
smell?
my dad was a single
the
guy.
The clothes mildew smell.
When my dad was a single guy, all his shit smelled a little bit like that because that motherfucker was lazy. So he would just like throw shit in the wash, go to bed, and then throw it in the dryer in the morning, kind of shit. So you'd be like laying in the sheets. So that for a little while, that was even like a comforting smell to me. So I got older and I was like, my dad was a lazy piece of shit.
Yeah,
but
this is gross.
Yeah,
that's
a gross ass smell. And then like the other thing, like you have those little memories though. Or like if I woke up by the time I was in like junior high and I heard like Bee Gees or like Minnie Riperton or like Donna Summer, like fucking single like mom groove music, like mom getting her groove back music. She was on a cleaning rampage and you had to like throw a sibling on the tracks so you could get the fuck out of there. You know what I mean? Or like my little sister would come in and be like, "Hey, mom said get up and you got to do that." And I'd be like, "Hey, tell mom this, that, and this," and I would just be some kind of fodder to be like, occupy my mom for fucking 4 minutes so I could fucking grab a pair of shorts and run out the door with my friends. You know what I'm saying?
Did you ever go to like I remember you said you had like a Korean friend, but did you have like
he was either Korean or Chinese or both? Yeah. I don't remember because his parents didn't like white people, so you couldn't really be over there all the time. The one time that I got caught over there, where his dad told me, don't worry about homework, sing a song or write a fucking poem, like fucking. When we were over there, we were playing like role-playing games, and I was in the bathroom.
Yeah.
And all my friends bolted, and I'm coming out of the bathroom, and Z's like, it's okay. I don't think I'll be in trouble because you're not like white, so just play up that. Like fucking like,
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, And then they talked in their language for like a second, and then his dad was like, "Hello," like, and I was like, "Hey, how you doing?"
Hero.
And he's like, Z's helping you in school, and I'm like, "Yeah," and he's like, "Don't worry about school. You sing a song, make a story." Latin people.
But was that the
only? He would tell me I had a lot of passion.
Yeah.
And then he kicked me out. Like,
was that like, the only? Was that the only like Asian friend? Like I had like a bunch of Asian friends growing up.
Yeah, like, I think that was the only Asian kid I knew growing up. Now, not considering like Indian kids. You know what I mean? There's a couple Indian kids we went to school with.
And like they're so like that when you're
that's the only Asian kid who went to his house and shit.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
The different smells, right? That you're talking
about. But even like white people had like their own smell too. Like
but they were.
Smell,
but
you know
I was I was like I feel like white people house smells are either like they're gross, but if they're not gross, they're like within like the normal range of like going.
Isn't that a thing too, where somebody's your
out.
friend? Well, isn't that a thing too when somebody's your friend and you don't realize they're a fucking shit pig until you're like older and you're like, ooh.
Yeah.
we got jobs at the Renaissance Festival when we were kids, and we because of Tom from Tom Eats It, another show on our channel that we will film again one day. But because of Tom's interest in these kind of games, I got into like Magic cards, Dungeons and Dragons, shit like that. That brought us to getting a job at the Ren Fair, which was super fun. And you get paid to fuck off and like sell goblets and shit. And then my buddy Elliot worked the fucking icy cart, and I would steal ices from his cart all day, and then his count would be off. And then I would, on my break, I would go to Tom where he worked at an incense cart, and I would fucking goad him into cussing me out. But he would try and cuss me out in Old English, and then get in trouble, and I'd get threatened to get fired. And then I'd go back to my little stand and sell goblets and disposable cameras and shit. But we met these people who did live action role play. They called it Amp Guard. Right.
Yeah.
And they were like all in their like late 20s into their mid 30s.
Does that? Now.
I still have some friends who do it now. I hadn't done it since I was like 12, 13 years old when this was going on. But when we met these folks, we thought they were like the coolest people. Like they were the shit like to us because they were 30 and they fucking whooped up on us on the fucking, Amp Guard field. And they taught us how to make foam swords and turn a boogie board into a fucking shield and all that shit. How to make a tunic out of a fucking towel. And fucking, all that kind of shit. So we hang out with these guys. And then, like, looking back, though, it's like we'd go to their house and it would be a wreck. Their kid would have a shit diaper for the whole fucking day. Like, it was one of those things where your parents would be like, where are you hanging out? And be like, oh, our friends. We're just hanging out at our friend's house. Okay. Like, I don't know what the fuck you're doing. It's like we're hanging out with 30-year-olds who, like, looking back, they have a drug problem. Fucking aren't taking care of their children and are just, like, playing fucking RPGs with fucking children all goddamn day long. And fucking
I ran into that when I worked at Phantom Fireworks. Like, for some reason, I like got promoted because people like me. You know how that is. Like, they promote you for jobs that you don't deserve, and you're like, cool, no, all right, I'll just try to do it. Anyway, I was bad at it. But like the guy that wanted my job real bad, he was like trying to be nice to me at one point and trying to like share his life with me. And I was like, okay, cool. And they actually did like the real, like they make real armor. Like he was a real blacksmith, right?
Sure.
Real, whatever. I don't know.
I remember some of these cats would make like legit chainmail. They would spend all of what little cash they had on like.
But like
he would come, suit of plate.
He would come to work with like a cast, because like he had his arm broken from blocking a sword, and it like but it's a real sword, right? And I was like, oh damn.
So we met those dudes. Yes,
it seemed cool. No. Like the Amp Guard guys, like that's the foam swords.
No. So guys, through those Amp Guard guys, we met. There's like different leagues.
Yeah.
There would be guys that would be doing stuff with rattan and bamboo stuff. Then there would be guys that would be doing stuff with dulled steel. There was like a bunch of different leagues of groups, and it would be like the guys who did the serious shit would do Amp Guard like in their off time. It would be like the pros coming down to the minors to fucking throw a couple of pitches. You know what I mean? Fucking. That's exactly what it felt like.
Yeah, I met the real suit of armor guys, and then it came to be like season or whatever, and he's like, "Hey, can all my friends work here?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure." And I was like, "Oh my god!" Like the like literal incest and strange living situation that particular group is in. Like the most normal dude I think I'm still friends with on Facebook, and he's like, yeah, I had sex with this girl, and I'm like, wait a minute, you were talking about it like she's your cousin. He's like, yeah, I didn't want to, but like I'm in the group, and I was like, oh god, dude.
Wait, so he fucked his cousin?
Yeah.
Ooh,
Like,
ee.
and told me,
Ooh.
like, I won't say his name. I mean,
No,
like,
don't.
if you
I don't
know
want to
the
know.
group I'm talking about in West Palm, like all
There
of
was a
them,
couple. There was
no,
a couple
yeah,
groups, and they all were super incestuous and weird. And looking back, especially, but like, so initially, our thing was like there was me and my two best friends, Tom, who I still am very close with, and Elliot, who I'm friends with on Facebook still, who just he moved and stuff, and
yeah,
when we were younger, went to different high schools eventually and stuff. So you part ways as kids, but fucking everything we did was based on like being around each other. So I would be like sword and shield, and Tom would be the pole arm guy, and Elliot would be like a short sword and shuriken guy or
yeah,
whatever the fuck. Eventually, though, it got to be like I had boxed and stuff a lot as a kid, and hadn't been doing it at this same time because my mom couldn't really afford to like let me go to any gym or anything
yeah.
at that age, and fucking I realized like, oh, you know what? If I go like dagger style, I'm just basically fucking punching people.
Yeah,
So fucking like that was when I had to stop kind of playing it because I just start socking, and then you start getting in like real fights with your friends and stuff.
yeah,
So eventually, and then also, this was like 12 into 13, maybe 14 years of age, somewhere in that. Then pussy.
yeah, yeah.
You start getting a little bit of action, and you're
Well,
like,
that's what I was
I don't want
confused
to dress
about.
in a tunic
Well, that's
at
what I was
all.
confused about. Like some of these guys were regular looking dudes, right? And like
You can still
the
be awkward as fuck,
girls,
though.
the girls, no, they had like unjustified confidence. That's all the only way I can describe it.
Sure,
But
I've run across those types of dudes
you know what
before.
I'm
Where you're
talking
like,
about? Like
okay,
they're larping, but they're proud of it. Um,
sure.
so like, but and like the girls that work at Phantom Fireworks are like the summer girls that are in town, and like you are working with them for 12 hours a day, and like you know, like you have full anyway. And I'd
What?
be like,
Hmm?
I'd be
Huh?
like,
What? Wait,
yeah,
what?
you
Wait,
have like
what? You have
full
what?
reign of like you can like you guys work the same hours, so that's where I met like my first serious girlfriend was there. Like we were just
Mm.
fooling around every time
So it's
she would
just
come back
like
to town to
summer fling
yeah,
kind of
yeah, and
action. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'd be
A
like
young
yeah,
fucking summer fling.
I'd
No,
be
yeah,
like
that's normal.
and I would talk to these guys and be like, yo man, you should like give this girl a try, like it's fucking nice, right?
That wasn't that
And
always super interesting though when you're a kid. Other people in your
I
age
wasn't
group
a
who had
kid.
like otherworldly
I was
confidence, like fucking
21.
with girls.
I was
That's pretty.
21.
That's a kid though. Come
Yeah,
on,
yeah, I
that's
was
you're
21,
young.
but these guys weren't. They were like our age now,
Ooh,
right?
that's creepy.
And I'm
And
just
the
like,
chicks were like 21.
yeah, 18 to like 21. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Listen,
gross.
I don't, yeah, until,
That's
yeah.
gross. That's gross shit. I mean, as a dad and shit,
But
like
still,
looking at
no, no,
that,
but no, I
I'm
would,
glad I
no,
never
they
was.
weren't. No, that was the thing. They weren't. I'd be like, yo,
I'm just
man,
glad
this
I never
girl,
was into that like barely legal. Like
yeah,
it's always kind of been a
yeah.
little weird to me. I got younger
I mean,
sisters and shit, so
when I was 18 till I was 21, I think I only like seriously dated girls that were like 18.
yeah.
But I mean, that's because they weren't that much younger than me. But still, so like, uh, no, I would be like, yo, you should like try to, get with these girls or whatever. And they'd be like, no, my woman's coming to pick me up or whatever. And I'm like, oh, that's respectable. And then it's like, this like chud monster. And then they're all like, but she's like the literal like queen of their castle.
Right.
And is like, has kids with all of them.
Ooh.
But she's related to. It's real weird. It was
Yeah,
yeah.
that's a yeah.
That
You
was,
don't want to.
I don't
Once
want
you
to
start
get
to realize you're in that kind of situation, you want to just like start backing out
yeah.
slowly,
It
or
was funny
fast,
because
whatever.
like
Fucking
one guy and his wife that was in that group like worked with the like they're like, oh yeah, our friend told us we could get a job. Thanks for hiring us. And I was like, yo, what's up with and he's like, oh, those guys are fucking weird. We just like to do this because of the like the attention to craftsmanship on this and the attention to detail to medieval times.
right.
Like we're real into history. And I was like, oh, okay, good. He's like, no, we ain't fucking nobody but
Where
us.
it's like there's clearly different kinds of
Yeah,
dorks in this equation.
yeah.
Sure.
But I was like, but that's like the whole group. He's like, it's the whole group, and we hang out with that whole group. And I was like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
all right. That was
But
the
when you're
only guy I
young too,
really hung out with too. Yeah.
but when you're young too, you allow for certain things because you don't have the like maturity to be like, hey,
But
wait a
they
minute,
were
what the
all
fuck are you
old.
saying?
They were all older than me. Like I
right,
said,
but you weren't. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like you at this age, you might have been like, "What the fuck are you talking about? What weird dumb shit?" I remember there was a guy named Dave, but everybody called him Amino. That was his like character name or whatever, right? And he was like living on a construction site with his wife, and she was a big lady, and we would fucking, he would like loan us like game books and shit like that, and we would like pop over there, trade books, or like, magic cards for you guys or whatever. There's another guy named Stuart, same kind of thing. And yeah, Stuart is the one that everybody kind of made fun of, but looking back, he was the most like normal,
normal person,
square job and shit,
yeah,
right?
That's
he was
why
like the
they
outsider
were making
for being,
fun of him.
he was a dork, no doubt, and he was like the rule monger of the group or whatever, so he was extra like reviled a little bit, but he was a nice guy. But
those guys are my friends in the magic world, and like all
he
the
was
kids.
Awkward. He told me my mom was hot. That was weird. He was awkward, you know what I'm saying? But like, fucking, he wasn't like a creep in that way. But Amino, I remember one time was like fucking telling me and my two buddies, Elliot and Tom. He's like, yeah, sexuality. It's it's not just a straight line. It's I've been in many kind of different sexual situations with multiple people, men, women, and we're just like 3 like 13 to 14-year-old kids in a car with this dude.
You're like
okay, no, we're just like, all right, like what the fuck? And then after that, it was like real awkward. And then he called us, me and Tom, and started talking shit about our friend Elliot. And then it was like, well, it's funny that you feel that way, because we were like mad at him about something that happened in a game, and fucking. He was like, it's funny that you feel that way because Elliot's on the phone, and he like did some weird. So he was trying. He was trying to cut the herd so he could try and fuck one of us, probably. Like
he was trying to get the weak one away.
Luckily, after that, all of us kind of grew out of that stuff and shit. I think like we got more into like our own. Yeah. Like Tom and me got into the wrestling at school. Like Tom joined the wrestling team, and
I started this conversation was Asian households, because like you went
smells.
To the one, the smells, You went to the one Korean, like, but that was like a unique smell.
I don't know if he was Korean or Chinese. I can't remember, but I just know that his parents were super racist, and those are the two that I always know.
Let me ask you, like, was the smell strong when you went to the house?
Smell like I said, it was like very fried oil.
Okay, they were Chinese. Because if you go to a Korean household, like
the kimchi smell,
the kimchi's mixed with more fish than the kimchi they give to everybody else who's not Korean.
Right. There was a slight fishy smell in the.
But that's the only smell.
House.
Like,
but
here's the thing, though. Like, I've been to. That's what I'm trying to say. Like,
his parents thought he had a soda addiction because we would go to his house. And everybody would drink like sodas and shit.
And he would just throw away all the cans,
Yeah, we just trash all the cans, and then his parents would be like, "You drink fucking 28 sodas? What the fuck, Z? Like, what's wrong?
How do you not have diabetes?"
Yeah, they're gonna like send him to like a soda rehab and shit. There was like he was a fucking really smart and interesting kid. He was like really mature for our age. And I remember there was a certain point in time where he was getting ready to go off to college, and we were still in like 10th grade, and he was telling us like we were fucking with another friend. And we were like, what should we do? We do this, that? And he's like, do whatever, bro. I'm out of here in a couple days.
I don't give a fuck. Yeah.
He's like, you want to burn his card out? I don't give a fuck. He's like, I'll facilitate. I'll slide my card. He didn't give a fuck.
Japanese.
He was also the one who used to tell us, if you're gonna steal something, just steal it. Because like, if you're just really confident, people won't give a fuck.
No. That's like.
My grandfather echoed that sentiment.
Yeah, I've noticed like older people from like we were talking about, like the struggle countries, or like the generations that struggled. Like when they come here, like that's how they just made it. They would just go take it and tell the people that lived here that didn't know anybody. No, they didn't know anybody. They're like, yeah, this is mine, and like strangers here is like, well, I guess he said it's his. Like,
I was in a band in high school, maybe like 15 years old, and with this kid Josh and Brian LaFleur from Jenna's Side Salad, and we were super young, but it was fun, like punk rock, whatever. I don't even know what the fuck we were. We were dumb, but we needed a PA, and we kept trying to save money, and we would pawn shit and then spend the money on dumb shit. So we needed this PA.
Josh Caruso?
What's that?
Was it Josh, the guy that ended up being in the FLA band?
No. Josh from in FLA was the drummer. This other Josh was the guitar player. But so we fucking were like, need a PA, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna get a PA. And I just go to Guitar Center. I don't know. This is a long time ago. What's the statute of limitations on theft?
Guitar Center's going out of business. People are just going to be walking in there and taking stuff out.
I go to a random guitar place, fucking a large big box guitar retailer, and I just look around the floor and I'm looking at these PAs and I look at them and I just kind of get a feel for like, you know, what the vibe of the place is. And then
everybody hates
after about 10 minutes, there's like a girl who's like kind of checking people out at the door. There's like a little kiosk.
Yeah.
And I kind of keep an eye on her. And then eventually she goes like towards the guitar aisle and she starts talking to some guy.
Yeah.
And that's when I'm like, okay, now's the moment. And I just grabbed this little, it was one of those PAs that clips together like a little shell box, you know what I'm saying?
I know what you're saying.
And I just scooped up the box in my fucking gorilla mitts and I walked right the fuck out of there with my asshole clenched tighter than a vice grip.
Let me tell you.
Fucking, I was like 16, 16.
Dude, if I could tell your 15-year-old self how little the employees at Guitar Center cared,
would have given a fuck, sure.
And also that there were 0 cameras, and that small girl that they put at the front of every Guitar Center was their only security. To stop people from just walking out with stuff.
Sure. Like, worst case scenario, some overzealous manager hits you with a fender.
No, that's it. No, there's the overzealous managers are like in Hollywood or like in New York, because that's where like the go-getters go, or like in, not even actually in Miami, like it was in the Fort Lauderdale was like the busy Florida store, but like
the Hollandale Beach store was wild. Over that.
Yeah, dude, the Hollandale Beach store is like it's dope.
I've seen fist fights in that store before. I've seen fist fights in the DJ section in that store more than once. More than 3 times. How about that?
Hilarious thing about that. So
specifically,
I'm not going to call him out, but this guy that I worked with at the West Palm Guitar Center, who like was quitting heroin when I worked with him. Like,
is this a guy that I knew?
I know he's from New York.
Remember the guy we talked about that I knew?
From Guitar Center?
The guy that I went to like school with, like elementary school.
Oh no, that's not him.
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
This
no names. I like how we do no names. I like that. No names. Names.
This guy's from New York, and he called him like he asked everybody to call himself by a nickname, right? And he would like. It was.
He asked to be called by a nickname.
Well, I mean, everybody. I think he. I don't know. He worked there before I did, and everybody's just like, "Yeah, that's this guy." And then I'd be like, "That's not his name on the sales sheet." And he's like, "Yeah, just call me." That's the only thing I'll give anybody that would know who I'm talking about. Because he talks like this.
I went by a
like
nickname for a couple years when I was younger.
New York.
It's a cringy time.
Yeah, but like he doesn't go by that. So, like I left, everybody kept leaving and quitting. And apparently, he was the only one that just stayed long enough, and they had ambition. He ended up running that Guitar Center in West Palm, and then stopped being called by his nickname. And then like he ended up running the Hollandale store, which is like one of like the top 3 Guitar Center on the East Coast. And now, I mean, they're going out of business now. And now he's like a district manager or whatever, training to be like, that's like he went like way up the ranks. It was crazy. But like I only ever knew him like we used to like sit out on the bench, and he's like, I don't want to take my methadone no more. And me and this guy Ray, we would just split his wafers on the bench, which is just heroin, legal heroin, and we'd just throw up and get sent home early. We're like, we don't want to work anymore. And then we'd call him by his nickname and be like, give us some of your methadone wafers. And he'd be like, here you go. And so we'd just fucking split those and put them under our tongue and be like,
I got a story.
Whoa.
I got a story about something like that. So somebody I know isn't me, that wasn't me, and a guy that I know who gave me gave someone that wasn't me many tattoos when they were like 15 and 16 years of age. And this person was like 30, who I'm still friends with to this day. Fucking, I'm at his house, and I had
most friendships in Palm Beach County.
Wait, no, not me. I'm not at his house. This person who's not me is at his house.
So you're just describing most friendships in Palm Beach County? Yeah.
Right. So this person who's not me is at this person who's 30 some odd years old's house.
This dude's
yeah.
house.
Anyway. This young kid's at this dude's house hanging out. It's a weird friendship, but it is one. And fucking literally, this young kid met this person because he was like, oh yeah, my uncle will do a tattoo for you illegally for fucking cheap, don't worry. And it's like, hey, are you fucking tattoo fucking so-and-so? Yeah, that's me. Come in, random fucking 15-year-old child. Do you have $14? You have $40, I'll do your whole fucking forearm. Anyway, fucking so this young kid's hanging out with this older dude, and this older dude had seen this young kid smoke a bale of weed and fucking eat shrooms and drop acid and be fine. And this older dude isn't like a habitual anything user, but he's one of those dudes who, like, if he comes across it, he'll party on it.
Yeah.
He's like an old school Florida guy.
Yeah.
And even though he was from fucking like the Midwest.
That's
but
me.
fucking
wait, are you talking about me?
No, but so this guy fucking has, from a trucker who lives across the street, has a couple of fucking little fucking tabs, whatever, the little disklets of fucking methadone.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm gonna try it. You want to fucking get down? And he's like, yeah, you got anywhere to be? Was what he said. Fucking and fucking this young kid was like, fucking like, I'll give it a shot. And then they proceed to fucking eat the little biscuits and fucking start tattooing.
Oh no.
Like, so this young dude is tattooing his own self while the older guy's like showing him what to do and stuff. And mid tutelage, the older guy's like, I'll be right back, and then just leaves, and then is just gone like for the rest of the night. And the young kid, looking at his own work that he kind of like doesn't know how to like put everything away or whatever, just puts everything down. And then the young kid gets up, takes like 10 steps, makes it to the front door, thankfully, and then just barfs and slightly shits his pants.
It's so strong. Like, it's meant for people that are like banging hundreds and thousands of dollars of heroin like a day, right? Like,
well,
it's meant to like get them off that.
We took like a little half of the little biscuit.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You took half each. These guys, like this guy, right? That I won't mention.
No, it wasn't me. It was some young guy and some old guy.
These guys were like doing like half, like, and like I was saying, my buddy that I would take half biscuits at work.
I don't even know those guys' names.
He would. He was like that old Florida guy that you were talking about, like take the drugs and then ask what he took, and both of us were like, what the fuck? And this guy that is now like a manager,
I knew so many people like that where it was like,
but the guy that was,
they literally get handed the dope or whatever it is, they pop it and then go, what was that?
Yeah.
Like, that's such a common, like,
that's how
animal.
Like, I grew up like watching my dad be like that, so I just thought that's the way you're supposed to be. So like,
it's like same here. How many times have you like been passed a joint at a concert and just taken a drag and not even second guess? I mean, dude, how many times like out at a bar you go out to an alley to then fucking spark up a cigarette or whatever, and someone passes you something, you're just like, all right,
yeah, sure,
caution to the wind.
Yeah,
especially like in your 20s and shit, where you're just like, don't give a fuck, you don't think.
Yeah, with me it was like pills. Like, people would be like, "Do you want some of these?" And
someone goes to hand me some shit. I'm like, "What?"
Exactly, dude. I remember.
How do I know you?
I remember when I was just like partying all the time. I this girl, like, she hated me for the rest of the time that I lived in Colorado because like she had a handful of pills, right? And she's like, "Do you want some?"
Sounds like a good fucking outlaw country song.
Yeah.
She had a handful of pills.
She said, "Do you want some?"
Yes,
and I just said yes. I just said yes and grabbed all of them from her and took them. And she's like, that was all for everybody tonight. And I was like, it's all for me now. And I walked into the night.
Like, I am the party.
It was just like all the ecstasy for everybody for that whole night.
So, but when we were kids,
this guy that was giving us those wafers, right? Mm-hmm. He had to take like 2 or 3 of them to not be like going through withdrawals, and we were just like, we can't handle a half, and we just take whatever drugs people give us whenever. And he's like, yeah, man, you don't know, I died so many times, and people fucking like
so he
brought
was like
me back to life.
Like a fucking like a savage.
Dude, yeah, like he told me about
bending
this one
spoons
time.
And
yeah,
shit.
He was
like mine, like a Jedi.
He's like, I was recording in what the fuck? Whose was it? It was like Jay-Z's studios, like whatever that studio's like I was in the Studio B and Just Blaze was in the studio next to me, and he said he came in and I was white and he hit my chest till I threw up on him and I was alive. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, how much dope is that? How much dope is that though? Like, if he had to take 2 or 3 biscuits that make like everybody we know, like if you take a half it makes you physically sick, and he had to take like 2 or 3 to not be sweaty.
I mean, he must have been going to war every goddamn day.
Yeah, like I don't know like what you do to where you think you need to like kill yourself with heroin every day, but damn, man, like that's just crazy. I don't understand that level of
self-hate is a motherfucker.
So like, so we were going to have my friend from Facebook, Joey, on. He might still join us here in like the last little bit. If not, we'll get him rescheduled. But he's actually, he's like he's a friend, a mutual friend of a guest that we had on, Kevin, and he's more accepted by the like rehab scene, but he thinks.
I know nothing about this scene.
But like he uses his brain like Kevin does, you know, like Kevin's like a regular person, had some issues, came down here like half the nation's kids, right? But he like got sober and is like staying sober, and I don't, and like he's not buying into like the cult aspect of it, you know, like he's just
growing up. As soon as somebody told you where they were from, if they were from anywhere up the like East Coast into the Midwest, like the northern Midwest, like fucking. Like make a sickle with the top of the eastern top of the country. If they were like under a certain age and they were down here, and they weren't at school, like you knew what they were around
like,
for.
Oh, hey, rehab.
Getting off the jump.
But like I'll so like when I'll say things like the rehab industry is like destroying South Florida. Like,
well, you've worked in it, you understand it a little bit more. So,
but all the people that
I was like a bouncer for somebody's rehab halfway house. Briefly.
And all you did was like collect money. You didn't care how, right?
No, I just threw people out the place when they weren't supposed to go. That's it.
But
so I didn't collect no money.
Like there's maybe like 2 or 3 people.
I never touched the bag, officer. I never touched the bag.
There's like 2 or 3 people. Like maybe that's actually no, not 2 or 3. It's just 2 people like that I worked with that are like, one of them was like, I can't. Well, one of them was a guest. But he's like, like this stuff doesn't work. You know what I mean? Like. It's kind of a cult.
It's like everybody's got a different system. That's part of the problem, right? It's the same way that we educate kids unilaterally.
It's not like they know this though, like, but they try to get you into that loop to where every company is going to make money off your insurance.
It's a cash cow industry. Yeah,
that's all it is. So Kevin and our guest would like they agree with me on stuff like that, but they're not as like vocal about it. You know what I mean? Because like that's their group of friends, you know, like that's their people. And
it's like anything else, man. You're tied into a world a lot of the time.
I mean, like Kevin will say, he'll like echo what I say. Like he doesn't give no fucks. But like this guy that was supposed to come on, he's a good dude, and like he makes. I have said the exact same things that he's said on like recently on his post, and literally like his friends have blocked me and like called me like transphobic, like homophobic, racist. Like stuff, and then like, but he can ask them because like he's in the group, you know. Yeah, it's funny because like it's his white friends that are all like that, you know. I don't know.
Sure, there's a lot. Listen,
man,
he's
a cool dude. Yeah, I think he's a cool dude. I've only ever met him on Facebook.
Recreational pastime nowadays, man. I don't take it even personally anymore. There was a point in time where I would try and engage friends with like these conversations. It gets to the point now where you can just smell somebody spoiling for a fight, and even if it's a conversation where like you know there's a discussion to be had, if they're not like trying to have like a conversation, it's not even worth it. Like social media is just like bleh. Like use it for promotion and fucking
I saw his friend list like drop by I think maybe like 50 like pre-election because he was just asking legitimate questions and people are like, I didn't think you were a fucking Trump supporter. He's like, I'm a nobody supporter.
I don't even look at my friends list. I don't even know how many friends. I don't even know how many friends I have. You know what, man? That's so gross that's like any barometer.
Well, see, the thing is, I don't think he does either. I just like
my followers.
I lurk his page because like he has great posts, and like he also is like a fan of music, and he's like born in 1980. So like,
I hope I never ever know how many followers or friends I have of anything. Well, I mean, I hope I never know.
We have 75 subscribers. That's
the first time I ever known.
That's what we want. We want to know that for YouTube.
You got to know that. I'll show up and talk on Thursdays.
No, we do. It's cool. It's good stuff. It's people that
are like-minded
want to watch us. Yeah. But so what I'm talking about is our guest that was busy. You know, daddy duties. We totally understand here because we're both dads.
A dad life.
Yeah. Like
the day my kid started wiping her own ass, like successfully, like when her success ratio was like 80% and higher.
Yeah.
my wife and I were like, man, like this is we're
Step.
really in a.
Yeah.
It's really like when you don't have to spot check a butthole every day.
Yeah.
Like it's a great. It's sometimes
I'm so
she'll be
close.
wiping her ass and she'll just yell out of the bathroom, "Clean break, Dad! It's been a clean day."
I'm
And
so
like,
close.
fucking,
I'm so close to there because like the problem is like he
just know that first year of ass
yeah.
wiping is just a nightmare.
My problem with him is
Just
that,
a
like,
nightmare. Your kid's gonna skunk stripe their back with their own shit. There's gonna be a lot of
he doesn't.
hiccups.
No, like he doesn't do that. The problem
Listen,
is
he will. He will. Just because
listen.
it's like anything else. When you first start driving, you fuck up a lot of little things.
No, I can
when
tell.
When you first start wiping,
he feels it when he does that, right? This is the problem. Okay, he cleans it up. This is the problem. He uses a whole roll of toilet paper to wipe his ass sometimes.
That's better than having a shitty ass.
He is spotless, but the toilet is overflowing, and he's like, "Daddy, I wiped my butt," and then like I'm like, "Oh, oh no!"
You've
like,
got.
I just hear the toilet running.
You've got to teach him the every two wipe system.
Yeah, but he'll just
Where
go.
every two wipes you got to flush.
Just wipe.
Every two wipes you got to flush. Clear the blockage. Flush.
I tried to show him to wrap his hand once.
What about
and he goes like this. He goes like this, and I'm just like, oh.
Did your wife teach him like
no.
how to wipe?
No, I've done the whole thing. Like, and it's just.
What about ass wipes? We're an ass wipe family. We're a wet wipe family.
Those are like his hands. He might as well be wiping with his bare hands, with those, because he'll like ball them up.
Yeah,
and then like stick them around his ass, and then just like, and then he'll be like, look. He'll be like, look, I wiped my butt.
I can't go through my day with my asshole being in question.
Oh no,
you know what I mean?
His is not. I know because I give him like a bath almost every day. You know what I mean? And I'm always worried about that. And I've got like the pressure washer shower head that I freaking hose him down like he's in prison, like hard, right? And it's like he's clean, but the problem is, like I said, I didn't think I'd be going through this much.
See, you've got a son too, so you're basically like you can show him a lot. Like I'm at my daughter's 6. I can't show her certain it's like we're past a certain point when it's like certain things are appropriate or whatever. And the other day, she's like, "Dad, I got something bumpy in my vagina," and like I shorted out for a second, like a robot that got asked a paradoxical question. Like I was like, "Huh?" And like then I realized because my wife and I both used to prior to the pandy fucking travel quite a bit.
Yeah.
Me coming down to Florida for music, and she would be in China. She would be in different states for different corporate stuff. And I realized she's home. My wife's home right now. I'm not alone. She's home, and I just yelled, "Eva!" And my wife's like, "What?" And I was like, "Something's wrong. Talk to your mom. Go to your mom. Go to your mom."
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And then she was like, Eva thought something was like a bone was sticking out of the skin or something like something. And then she's like, she had toilet paper in her vagina, Andrew. Jesus Christ. I was like, listen, that's your whole fucking department, man.
That's your stuff.
That's it.
You know, it's funny.
I will teach her how to shrimp out of under somebody and how to fucking underhook.
You know, it's funny, like when my son was like first being aware, like he had like a penis, he was just like, oh, what is this? Like just touching it all over and everything. And like always, and so like my wife was like, you need to ask the doctor about that. And I was like, I mean,
that's not abnormal.
I'm like, he's not touching it any more than like I do daily just to adjust and stuff. And she's like,
we were babysitting a friend's kid, and when he was angry, he was yelling, and he just grabbed it and squeezed it and screamed. Ah!
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, stop, don't do that.
Yeah.
You're gonna hurt it.
But like I literally in the conversation I had with
kids
the
also
doctor,
don't have the same hang-ups.
People
sexualize something kids do, and they don't.
She thought like he was like there was something wrong, like
he was hurting by so he was grabbing it.
And I was like,
now once they start figuring shit out,
they're like, I got a thing.
Have to put when your kid was like an infant? Did you have to put mittens on him so he wouldn't
so
fuck
they
up
don't
his
claw
face?
their eyes out?
Yeah, my daughter was like squeeze the fuck out of her own face.
And
grab
like,
a chunk of cheek.
Yeah.
Oh my god, what are you doing to yourself?
Yeah, and like the doctor was like, did you tell her that's normal? I was like, yes, but she insists that I ask. And he's like, yeah. He's just figuring
being a mom.
And then like he puts his hand on me. He's like, I bet you touched it all. I was like, yeah, no. I'm like, still, like, still. And he's like, yeah. He's like, just tell her everything's okay. He's a boy. I love our pediatrician because
that's like interspecies too. Because we just got a puppy, and every
yeah.
now and then he'll be laying down. You know, like a dog will chase its tail.
Yeah.
He'll do that sometimes. It's adorable to watch a puppy do it. But like lately, he'll lay down, and he'll like flop on his side, and he'll look at his dick. And then he'll just like look at it like, what the fuck are you? And then he'll bite his dick hard, and he'll squeal. But he keeps doing it.
Yeah.
He keeps doing it.
Because he's a puppy.
I don't understand. But it's like after a couple of times, you know.
Well, I mean, he's a dog, so.
Man, oh man.
Not all
he'll
dogs.
He'll just lay down, plop down, and I'll watch him. Like, is he going to do it
again?
Is he going to do it again? And he'll look at it. Chomp. Like,
not all dogs are the smartest.
He's pretty smart for other stuff, but he's a good boy.
But, so our guest that had some dad duties and stuff, he's, what I like about him is, like, so like I said, like I think I saw his friend count drop a bunch because he was literally made a
being
post,
open-minded and considering.
He literally
like other
was
ideas.
like, it was literally like, hey,
yeah,
Biden's vice president locks up black guys like she's going to the store, getting getting tampons, right?
And then she doesn't exonerate the ones that are due freedom,
and he's like,
who have been wrongfully,
and he's like
convicted of shit.
And Trump is like set like 10,000
just to keep her
right?
prosecution count, like fucking, you know.
And then he was literally, he was just pushing.
You know what? I don't even like citing the Trump thing because it's one of those things now, right or wrong, we have to accept that guy's name carries with it a bunch of baggage.
Yeah.
I don't even like putting, like...
Well, the whole thing was, he wasn't even, like, saying one was better than the other.
Yeah. Without holding it up against anybody else's actions in office,
yeah,
her record alone is fucking... kind of fucking abhorrent when it comes to like treatment of people who have been incarcerated and the wrongful incarceration of people, the incarceration of people for like victimless drug crimes.
Slave owners did not treat black people as poorly as she did.
It's just gross, man. She was just a really shitty fucking DA or whatever.
She's just a shitty human. So like he wasn't even like, that was a separate post. He'd be like, Trump set this many people free. Tell me why I should or shouldn't vote for him, right? And he'd be like, Biden might die, and this lady that is just locking up black dudes left and right as much as she can, tell me why I should vote for them. And then, like, literally, like, those were his posts. He would post them, like, at the same time, right?
Right.
And literally, like, one side would be like, fuck you, I didn't know you were a Trump supporter. And the other side would be like, fuck you, I didn't know you were a Trump supporter. And he's like, I'm asking a question. Can I have a conversation? And people are like, you can't talk about Nazis. You can't talk about Nazis like that. And he's like, okay.
You can't have a conversation that has any trigger words in it or whatever.
And Trump is a trigger word.
Look at the context of what you're saying.
Yeah. And like,
context is like out the window now.
He's the guy too. And he, like, you know how I say show me? Like, I noticed, like, this past, like, 8 months, he's been, like, when people go on their long rants, he'd be like, that's cool, man. I want to believe you and I want to be on your side. Can you please show me?
Let me ask
like,
you something.
I shouldn't have to.
That's a big one. It's not my job to educate you. It's like, well, you're making it your business. So.
You wrote an essay.
But
can you please cite your sources?
Here's my question. Do you think that the general reading comprehension level has just like fallen, like drastically fallen?
Yeah.
Because I kind of think it has. Like, I think people cannot understand certain conceptual...
Like, I think why
like a certain level of a concept. Like, I just think it's outside of people's grasp at some point. Like, especially through text.
Yeah, you know. But I think it's like-minded people, like you and I, and like Kevin, and like I said, I'm pretty sure like
many of our guests.
Like
Joe, many of our guests, right? Regardless of the way that they lean, can have that conversation.
Yeah, but I think they understand what you're trying to say through text. Like, when I will respond.
But is that like an aspect of them knowing me or you?
No,
you in those cases?
Like that, I think they know what we're trying to say because I can see, especially with our guest that was supposed to be on tonight. Like, I've seen him more recently, but like type things the same way I would type them,
right?
And it's not going across well to people. And I'm like, I understand what you're saying, and I can think back like maybe.
You have two modes though. You operate at two speeds.
Well, I kind of turned off the trolling one, like unless I'm on David Salary's Facebook.
Yeah, you have
everybody
spots
else.
You like to stop and troll at.
And like
it's like a video game where you're like, oh, I can stop in this little part of this video game and have a cool little battle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a fun mini game.
When I leave the Mojave outpost, the Legion attacks me, and that's a fun little part.
Yeah, that's a cool thing. I like this mini game. I can always win
if
this
I
mini
pop
game.
up, if I spawn in this spot, I can fucking shoot up these guys and get some loot.
Yep.
Fucking
But on his one,
some serotonin based loot.
On his, I like legitimately like ask the questions, like, and that's all he's ever trying to do. I've noticed he's not. The only thing he's opinionated on is music, and I don't like rap and hip hop, and he likes all kinds of music. But so like I tend to like respect his opinion, and then like recently too, he's been like kind of saying the things that I used to say a long time ago, like when he like shows all the people that wrote on like Beyonce's record, and then like, he shows all the people that wrote on Prince's record, and it just says Prince on there. Yeah, and people are like trying to argue with him, and he's like, no, you're wrong, and I'm like, yeah, man, like this is correct. Like there's been more and more similarities with him. That he was the first person I really.
That's one of those things that's always been very interesting to me. How people can argue for stuff that just isn't like the Beyonce one's a great one.
Yeah.
Because you don't even have to go outside of the genre, right? You can be like, no, hey, what about fucking Mary J. Blige?
Yeah.
Who writes a bunch of her own shit, and even the stuff she doesn't write, like she's a good enough singer where it's like she's also not having 50 other fucking background singers on the track. She's like owning the fuck out of a song. Like
literally.
How about that? Like.
Literally,
you don't have to leave the genre or the fucking era that she. You know what I mean?
If we're just gonna stay on the topic of Beyonce, like I don't care if I personally get sued for this, but I've heard her unreleased raw tracks where they don't, and they use this program that actually comes free on Pro Tools now. It's called Melodyne. Okay, I can sing like this, la 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 la, right? And I can sound like Ariana Grande, like perfect.
Sure. Well, again, it's one of those things where
it doesn't
they're not
sound
really
like
selling her musicality. Yeah. They're selling a whole show. They're selling
the image of her. Yeah.
Yeah.
And like, but the thing is, like Prince, when you buy a Prince record and you go see Prince, or when you would before, you're buying the show.
Prince is one of those like once in a lifetime artists as well. You know what I mean? Prince is like there with Bowie and anybody else like that was that level.
Yeah.
Freddie Mercury.
You're literally and you're literally like saying the people.
You can even be like Dolly Parton, Whitney Houston, fucking Aretha Franklin. You know what I mean? Like once in a lifetime.
You're literally like emulating his list of like people. He's like, these are hits. These are legends. These are musicians. This is a product. And I'm
go down the list. Yeah. Dude. It's a shame because you have so many artists even now that are, like I said, look at Mary J. Blige. Look at somebody like that who like is just all their own fucking Lil' Kim.
Yeah.
She wrote her own fucking rhymes, man. Like and like
now she looks like those, a real doll.
So happens these fucking people have like fucked up self-image. You know, they get their head fucked up
like
because of the media.
Doll. A real doll.
She carved herself up. Same with the one from Saved by the Bell. She carved herself up too.
Which one?
Lark Voorhees.
Oh no.
No.
She was beautiful.
Don't look up the before and after. It'll make you bummed out. You can see that.
I don't want to.
Yeah, but that's But again, that's one of those things where you have to sympathize to a certain degree because it's like, even though I'm a fat fuck and I want to lose weight, I'm still happy in me. You know what I mean? Like I don't want to carve my shit up. You looked it up. You did it to yourself.
She looks like Lil' Kim did before.
Yeah, it's bad news.
Oh God. But
people trying to hang on to youth. Vanity's like a very sad kind of thing.
I mean, it's not as bad as Lil' Kim.
Louis C.K. had that good joke where he was like, when I hit my 40s, I realized I didn't have that far to fall, so it wasn't going to be that bad.
That's not That's not that bad.
She's not that. Voorhees?
Yeah, she's not that bad.
The pictures I saw were pretty bad.
I mean, I see a bad one, but
there's a famous one. It's like side by side. That's like real bummer. But anyway, I'm not gonna shit on this lady who has a fucked up head for fucking
But so like I really wanted to get him on for like our first because I don't know if you noticed I started it like this is season 2.
Yeah. I put it in my little posty post.
Yeah, like I really wanted
because I don't have Facebook on my.
Yeah.
No, I don't have Facebook on my phone. Like I use my browser because I don't like to like have the app and shit. What do you call
you the same way?
But sometimes it doesn't let me tag shit, so I don't know why.
Yeah,
it's weird. But yeah, it can track me the same way. I just don't like having the access. I want to have to type in Facebook to fucking
like halfway through decide like I don't want to fucking do this shit.
Yeah, Because half the time I'm going through and I'm like, you know what? I'd rather look at pictures from like a couple years ago when we were in Colorado or something while I'm taking a dump. It's not worth my fucking time in social media shit.
We need to do that episode where I just update your phone to where you don't need to go on Facebook to look at pictures of your family.
No, I don't look at. I have to go through my phone and like pull a bunch of pictures off and put them on the computer because I have like 10,000 pictures and videos. Fucking and like I did it a couple of times, but I can't ever do it all in one shot. It takes me like a million little chunklets that I gotta do it. Like drag and dropping, it's a pain in the ass.
Speaking of computers, like I traded my old computer to James Eagle, right? Yeah. To James to fix our car, and like he needs to have his own like YouTube car show because like
he knows his shit,
dude. Like I know he's a master mechanic, and like my brother is like a really good mechanic, and he said like James is like one of the best mechanics he's ever seen, kind of thing.
Right.
And like he replaced the CV joints in like my Lexus in like 30 minutes. And like I
got a guy up here who I use who's a killer mechanic who I bet you would like let you film some shit at his shop.
Yeah, dude, that would be awesome. But I'm like, I know people were telling me they're like, yeah, it's gonna be like $2,000 and you're gonna have to leave it here for a couple days because it takes a while to do. And I'm just like sitting there watching James fucking just
bang it out real quick and shit.
So quick. And I was just like, motherfucker, like,
yeah,
why aren't you telling people what to do with their cars on YouTube? Like, what the fuck?
I had a Mercury Cougar that my grandfather fucking helped me buy when I was like
the one that you were
in my early 20s. I had the one that was all fucked up. That was a Chevy Corsica that I had, fucking 1988 Chevy Corsica.
But you said two of them you had were fucked up.
Oh, I had a Mazda 66 that was super fucked up. Eventually, I fucked up many a car because every car I like have a belief that you're supposed to drive it into the grave. Like I don't spend thousands of dollars on anything that I'm not going to just like burn into the ground.
Destroy. Yeah.
So I had my favorite car that I ever owned was a fucking Mercury Cougar that was like a fucking hunter green Mercury Cougar LS 2-door. Fucking, but it was a luxury model, so even though it was 2-door, it was like big inside, big interior, big back seat, and fucking it had like a tan fucking top. Oh, I love that car. Tan leather interior. It was like I called it the Incredible Hulk. It was this big fucking green torpedo. It was awesome. It was old school looking, and I forget what year it was. It was like in an early '90s or maybe, but it looked older. And you know what I mean? Like they was like harkening back to older looking shit. But anyway, fucking. I had to get a brake job done. They were gonna charge me like fucking $350 for front brakes. And I remember my grandfather was like in his like 70s at the time, and he was like, "Oh, you gonna go get your brakes done?" I was like, "Yeah." They're gonna charge me like $350. He goes, "How fucking much for two?" And I was like, "Yeah, both the front brakes." And he's like, "All right, let's go to the fucking auto parts." And he hadn't done a brake job in a while.
Yeah.
And this motherfucker, deep in his 70s. Went to work on my brakes with me. He like made me do a bunch of shit that he couldn't physically do with his hands anymore. Yeah. But fucking he banged out the brake job, and I'm not fucking handy by any means. By any fucking means. You got a way better chance of me like catastrophically fucking something up.
Yeah.
And fucking but when you see somebody who really knows their shit, it's kind of like a thing of beauty. That's like an art form in and of itself when somebody really understands the machine.
I was telling him like he's a car doctor. But like a really
like
good
a surgeon.
Like a really good car surgeon. I was just like, and then he'd like turn to me to be like when he would start, he was like, "Oh man, I hope these aren't a pain in the ass to like pull out and then like put in."
It's gonna be a good guy to know either whether the bombs drop and we need fucking those guys to help rebuild shit,
but like
or if we make it to like a Star Wars level future, we need somebody to fucking tune up the droids.
He's just like. He's just like using like his air jackhammer handheld like tool, right?
Sure.
And he just goes like, he's like, "Oh yeah." He's like, "These aren't gonna be easy," and I was like, "Okay." And it literally was. He's just like, like manhandling stuff. Like I love hearing him talk about how because of his size, you know, like he can like fix things a little bit faster than other people because he's like, yeah, like I know like what pieces are like made out of stronger metal, so I'll just like get my elbows in there and like flex and then like unscrew the piece I need and then like take it out and then like it'll fucking like pop back and like it's all fine. And I'm like, "What?" He's like, "Yeah, that takes like an extra 20 minutes for other people, but like I can just get it all done." I'm like, "What the fucking animal?" It's crazy. And but it's like super technical, at the same
Sure.
time. It's crazy.
My mechanic, like I said, he's my buddy. He'll tell me a bunch of shit that he's doing in
Yeah.
my car, and I'm like, all right, bro. Like, what,
Yeah.
like I try to fucking like keep up, but it's like I don't have a brain for that shit
Yeah.
whatsoever. When dudes want to tell me a bunch of shit, like I remember I had a plumber over here fixing a toilet, and he was telling me all the shit he was doing in the toilet. I was like, look, man, stop the fucking thing from running. We had a $900 water bill. Like
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah.
fucking like we went on like a little vacation like a year or two ago. We came home, we got the water bill.
I remember you were
What
telling
the
me. Yeah.
fuck?
I remember that. Yeah.
Fuck. Yeah.
You're telling me about that.
Fucking,
You're
it
like,
was like
you're like,
$1,000
I
water
gotta.
bill almost.
You're like, I can't do this tonight. There's water out of my house. I was like, oh
Fucking,
shit. Yeah.
Yeah, bro. Fucking, it was crazy. It was crazy as shit. The toilet was running while we were gone, and fucking, it was, yeah. But anyway,
Yeah.
fucking, I don't have a technical mind. Like, it's interesting too, though, when it comes to certain stuff. We're talking about like technicality, like in boxing, maybe I could like get but it's like it's so foreign to me when somebody, my brother Mario, would start telling me about like what parts I needed for a computer thing or whatever. Like when we were kids too, I'd be like, I'd grab him and be like, hey, fix my computer for me. He'd be like, okay, well, I want to do this, and I'd be like, yo, don't tell me shit.
Yeah.
Put the game in the fucking box.
Make
all
it
right?
go.
Fucking,
Make box. Make picture go.
Put it on the desktop so I can double click and be fucking happy. And also, make sure you pick up your phone when I call you at 3 a.m, angry because I can't get online. All right? That's it.
I almost had a fit over my internet the other day, and it ended up just being my router because, I don't know, it was really fucking stupid.
We get internet problems sometimes because we're like, I guess we call it like deep burbs. We're not rural, but we're like out in the burbs. And fucking, fucking, it's kind of peaceful, like sometimes, like, or we'll have minimal, like fucking internet where it's like you can stream some cartoons on Netflix. They're a little hazy every now and then, but don't try and like look at a website or, you know what I mean? It's gonna be a pain in the ass to browse on your phone, like. So that's when it's like, all right, we'll put on a movie, family movie or whatever, and just turn shit off. Or I'll play fucking video games with my kid. We'll play fucking Lego Star Wars on the fucking Xbox.
That
Man,
sounds
or
nice.
like those rainy days like that where the signal gets fucked up, where it's like, fuck it, like fucking, fucking turn it off for the day. I love that shit.
I've got fiber, and like the only way to fiber to lose signal is for like somebody to dig 10 feet into the ground and cut,
fucking hit the cable.
Yeah, and hit the. Well, they have to hit the metal casing, crack the metal casing, then go through like
get into the cable.
The Kevlar shielding that's on it, and then like
weave.
And then like they can still cut into the cable, like this much, because the cable's like this thick, and they can cut into it, and like the metal's still conducting everything. Like they could pull out, and then like it'll, like the guy just has to go, because it'll be like a little bit slower.
It's like
the guy can just go repair it, but like for it to go out, like a fucking building needs to drop into the ground and totally destroy the line.
When we lived in Texas, our first apartment was...
How was there an outage?
Well, when we lived in Texas, our first apartment was in Fossil Creek, which is like in Fort Worth, which is like another rural suburb.
Yeah.
And fucking... We lived in like an area where you had like beavers and shit like walking around in your fucking... And it was an apartment complex, but a small one.
I know exactly the story you're going to say because I used to work for an IT company for all of those rural... internet companies.
Well, you just didn't have any options. There was one company.
Yeah, there was one, and they were all pissed, and they're like, like some people would
call up. And if there was a problem, they would just be like, "Yeah, sorry."
Yeah, some people would call up. Some people would call up. I know exactly the story you're gonna say. They're like, "Yeah, I think the beavers got into the line again. If you can just send somebody out here."
We never had that. We never had that.
Or squirrels got into the line. Rats chewed up the line. It was just shitty
internet, and this was back when you'd have DVDs, so it wasn't a big deal anyway. Yeah. Fucking. Like, dude, but that's also, too, looking back, like, the simplest things make you happy. I remember Eva and I, we had moved out to Texas. It was, like, our first time, like, living together. Fucking, and, we, what do you call, we're on an air mattress watching fucking movies on a laptop for the first, 2 weeks in the new place. And, like, getting that couch, like, that first night chilling on the couch with a new TV was, like, but you know what I mean? Like,
I know exactly what you mean, yeah.
Beautiful moment. But, like, out there... Fucking the internet sucked, and that was when I first got into podcasts too. And it wouldn't even be like listening to a podcast streaming. You'd like set it to download,
and then you'd come back
and go out, and like you could listen to it that night walking the dog. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
I remember that shit. Like,
yeah, man.
I would start downloading like for my day when I worked at like this call center doing data entry. I would start downloading them at home, right? And then like I knew when I got to work there was Wi-Fi. So then like by the time I got to work, like I'd get up early and I'd start downloading at home, right? And then like I'd queue up the next 3, right? Because I don't know if you remember that podcast, Doug Loves Movies with Doug Benson.
Yeah.
Or Getting Doug with High.
Yeah. I remember Getting Doug with High more than anything. Yeah,
but I was addicted to the Doug Loves Movies, right? Where I've got it saved somewhere, but Amy Schumer told the most racist and funny thing that I've ever heard a comedian say.
She's a funny comic, man.
But like, I don't like that she's all woke now. But regardless, so like, so I would do I would get the one, and then I wouldn't listen to it till I got to work, and then I'd start downloading the next 3, and then like that's all I would do all day. Like I would listen to one while the other ones were downloading, and then by the time I was done with one, like that's how slow the internet used to be. Like by the time I was done with one, the next one would have just finished. And these were like 45-minute, hour-long podcasts.
Yeah. That was the shit back then.
Shit, yeah.
Dude, I remember being like a fucking kid, and like that would be the move on porn. Like in junior high,
hit download, come back later. Yeah.
Well, in junior high, for whatever reason, class didn't start till like 9:45 or some shit like that. It was like later in the morning. So I was the last person to leave my house. That was the.
I remember that too. Yeah.
Where I learned you could skip school, where it's like, wait a minute, I could just fucking not go, and if I intercept the phone call, I'm gravy.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
like
I leave after everybody, and I get home before everybody.
Yeah, because you'd be out of class by like 2:45, 3:45 the latest. So
but if you skip, you're there automatically.
The worst thing would be like, I remember my brother and sister were still in elementary school, and they would get home around 2 with my godmother. They're my sister's godmother, Mitzi. Yeah. And fucking, so it would be like, all right, I get the fuck out of here like 10 to 2. Fucking go fuck around, baseball field. Kids are out of school, so it's not going to look weird that I'm out. And even though I'm not technically supposed to be out for another 45 minutes or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Fucking, and then I'd fucking come home. And like that was the fucking move, dude. And then I would tell I'd clue my brother in eventually and be like, yo, answer the fucking phone every time it rings. You answer the phone, I'll fucking give you my fucking Rage Against the Machine CD or whatever the fuck. Like fucking, and fucking that shit was fucking, God, that stage of life, joy was simple. You know what I mean? I remember having like Tommy Donuts from fucking Tom Eats It. A buddy of mine named Johnny Rodriguez, with the same last name as a Puerto Rican kid. And this kid named Anthony, Jamaican kid. Fucking, we were fucking all cut in class. And I guess my sister or my brother, I forget, had gotten sick.
Oh, no.
And it was like fucking noon. And we were making a mess, like fucking around. Because I knew, like, all right, we could fuck around, make a mess, and then, take us like 30 minutes, the 4 of us, to clean everything up. And then so as we're fucking around making a big mess in the kitchen, my fucking sister's godmother walks in with my brother and sister into the gate of the fucking townhouse, and I'm like, oh fuck, you guys all go hide in my room. I'll fucking act like I came home early because I was sick, and fucking play it off, whatever. And then I fucking was cleaning up when she came in, and we were fucking acting nuts and crazy, and I fucking, for whatever reason, there was like a 6-pack of bottle of waters. And I just took a kitchen knife and stabbed the fuck out of them. And water spilled all over the floor. So when my sister and her godmother and my brother walked in, I was mopping the floor, acting like I was just cleaning for no fucking reason.
Oh no.
Yeah, man. Yeah, and it was like really wet, like fucking like, and they were like, what
like 6 water bottles.
I remember my brother being like, fuck, what's up?
Oh my.
And yeah, I go into my fucking bedroom and all my friends are like hiding in various random weird spots, like fucking 2 of them mushed under the bed together, fucking, and I'm like, all right, we're gonna try and make a break for the fucking sliding glass. We live in a townhouse. Each bedroom had a sliding glass door that was like exiting the house.
That's
fucking.
I know.
I remember telling my brother.
Quadplexes. Yeah.
I remember telling my brother.
The first time I ever saw quadplexes is when I moved down here.
Yeah. Quadplex, exactly. I just remember telling my brother, like, keep her busy. It's like, get these 3 motherfuckers out the door, and then I'll just act like I'm chilling in the patio, and you can come out, and then me and you can get the fuck out of here. And he's like, all right, I'll do it. And it was like one of those where I would like bribe him with like, you can come to the next fucking whatever fucked up thing we're doing if you fucking back me up here. But then eventually my brother would sell me out because my mom would be like, she would know I did something, but not what, and she would be like, listen, Andrew already told me what he did, so.
Oh, that trick, yeah.
You don't need to fucking lie, right? And he'd be like, oh, good, because I didn't want to lie about him skipping school. She'd be like, aha!
I got him. I wanted to try. I'm excited to like have more than one kid because I want to try this thing that like I heard my friends' parents like did.
Yeah.
Like to like solidify that it's not a democracy, it's a dictatorship, right?
Okay.
Like he's like, yeah, man. Like every time like the next kid would like start to like have like real comprehension skills, he'd be like, all right, everybody, who wants like let's all vote on where we want to go eat, and they'd all vote for like Chuck E. Cheese or like some pizza place, and he'd be like, cool, we're going to the Olive Garden. This is not a democracy. Like I'm the
Yeah.
fucking dictator. I say where we're gonna go eat, and I was like,
That's something that I
like
struggle with my wife
yes,
sometimes because she doesn't like. It sounds kind of fucked up to say, but like dogs. Like if even the best dog, if you leave a fucking sandwich on the coffee table long enough,
oh yeah,
like dogs can fucking like my dog Duke will chill a lot. Like I've gone and taken a piss and
yeah,
like forgot my sandwich there and come back and my dog Duke is not eating it.
yeah.
But then there's like times where it's like you go take
A
a
shit,
fucking
yeah,
shit and then you come back to a sandwich that at least is completely
yeah.
turned over and the ham is gone.
Or like a clean
fucking,
plate of
yeah,
almost eaten food, and
yeah,
you're like,
or a gone paper plate that's like on the floor, it's been
yeah,
shoved, like
mm-hmm.
nose shoved. So even the best dog, you know what I'm saying,
Yeah,
will
yeah.
will do that fucking kind of thing. And I completely forgot what we're talking about because I'm kind of baked. Fucking,
Oh,
what
the
were we saying?
dictatorship, not a democracy with
Oh
your kids.
yes,
Yeah,
sorry. So my wife will be like, you know, what do you want to eat for dinner? We got, and then and my kid will be like, oh, well, once you say what do you want to eat, she's
yeah.
already conjured up 1,000 images in her head of what she wants. So don't say, hey, say this is what we're having, or if anything, go like, you can either have
This or
carrots
that.
or
Yeah,
celery with your meal. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Or because then my daughter would eat medium rare steak and rice every day
yeah.
if I let her
If you said,
just
what do
eat
you want to
that.
eat? Yeah.
Yeah, she'd be like, rice or pasta and steak. Like
And then
she would just eat
she'd just
carbs
be
and
a
protein,
little round kid. Yeah.
dude. So it's like, no, you also have to have
Yeah.
a stack of greens of some sort. And fucking,
Well,
luckily she likes
my
cucumbers, she likes
wife
celery,
actually
she likes
learned
carrots.
that pretty quick, like, because I think she only asked him what he wanted to eat like a couple times, and he was like, I wanna eat ice cream, and she's like, no, it's dinner time. He's like, okay, I want to eat muffins, and she's like, no, it's dinner time. He's like, well, I don't want noodles, and I don't want chicken, and I don't want this,
Yeah.
and I was just like, and then I was like,
At a
listen,
certain
kid,
age, you got to be like, look,
yeah,
here's what we're eating. This
yeah,
is what's going
that's
on. This is
literally.
how the
And
party's going.
she's like, oh no, that backfired. I was like, he's not old enough. And I was like, yo, dude, you're eating this. I already got it in the microwave. It's
Yeah.
leftovers from yesterday. This is what you're eating. He's like, I don't want it. I'm like, shut up. Like this is not a decision. Like
Recently, my daughter,
obviously
she
not that
was
mean,
like,
but like,
since we've been doing the pasta thing a lot, she's like, Dad, I would like to have pastas in the shape of like alphabets. And I was like, all right,
that's
I'll order
cool.
you a big ass box of fucking, like
Yeah,
20 pounds of fucking alphabet pasta.
yeah,
And she's like loving it. And one night I made like a big ragu, fucking brajol in it. It was great.
yeah.
And fucking she's like, Dad, I don't want sauce on my pasta. I just want butter or oil. And I was like, it's got sauce, buddy. And she's like, okay, but no meatballs. And I was like, it's got
No,
meatballs.
no,
And
no.
she's like, she's like, okay. And I was like, good.
Yeah,
That's it. That was
yeah.
it. Because she knows like she's not gonna that with me. I'm a pushover in some ways,
Mm-hmm.
and my wife in others.
Yeah.
Eva would be like, oh, I'll pick the meatball out for you. I'm like,
Nah.
you better eat the fucking meatball if you want a chance at ice cream tonight. Meatball and you
Yep.
better eat the Bosnigol that's in there with it. I don't want to see anything left.
I like my wife is the pushover between the two of us, like 100%. But
I'm the
now,
pushover when it comes to like if we're getting ready in the morning and she's like, I gotta go to the bathroom. I'm like, well, go to the bathroom. I'm not gonna fucking rush you out. My wife will be like, hurry up, you got 2 minutes in the bathroom. Me, I'm like, you gotta shit. Like, and then also, I'm the pushover where my daughter will be like, Dad, can we just like have a few minutes to play with the dog before we leave? And I'll be like, yeah, for sure, absolutely. Let's take him out back. Like, and then I'll lose an hour.
yeah.
I'm like a child with that. And my wife is like, no, it's 7:48. We have to be in the car at this time because you have to be in the class at 8:30. Me, I realize it's a certain time, and then I go, fuck. All right, hold on. You're already 30 minutes late to school. Let's go. Did you wash your hands yet? No. Did you brush your teeth? No. Fuck. All right, come on, brush your teeth. Now get in here. So I'm that. I'm a pushover that way. But when it's like knuckle time, when it's like homework or like I'm like, do your homework, and my daughter be like, well, I don't want to do this one. I'm like, no.
No.
Do the shit now.
Do
That's
it.
it. there's no conversation. My wife will be like, "Well, which one do you want to do first?"
No. Do it. Yeah.
But
See, I'm
Eva
that.
will wake her up straight up, like light on, blanket off. I'm
Yeah.
a fucking pussy pushover where
That's
I
how.
go in, I
You're
rub
like,
her
oh
back.
God.
I'm like, hey, you know what else I do too?
Oh, no.
Like, I have a daughter too, so she's
I
like my
know. Yeah.
baby
Yeah.
girl. But you know what else I do? Especially on a morning when I've either been up all night working on something, whether it's been like, Mike sent me tracks to review, or I'm working on a piece of art. If I see it's like 3 a.m., I'm just gonna be like, we wake the kid up at 6. I'm not gonna go to bed. I'll fucking start slow cooking bacon at 5 a.m. in the oven, and at 6:20 when she's supposed to get woken up for school, I'll go in and I'll start rubbing her back. I'll put the hallway light on, not the light in the bedroom.
Yeah.
And I wake her up and go, "You smell that?" And she'll be like, "Bacon," and she wakes up like that with me, and then she'll hug on to me, and I'll pick her up and either walk her downstairs or like carrying her, or fucking walk her to the bathroom or whatever. But fucking, because to me too, it's the time is running out fast.
Yeah.
That she's gonna want to be picked up and held by dad, and she's already like 6 going on 16. It feels like in a lot of ways she wants to be cool. She wants to, you know what I mean? Like, so it's very interesting to see that progression. So I take advantage of all the cuddly shit that I can get while it's still there.
I'm not talking about that. I'm talking like when you're telling them to do something, like.
Oh, but when I'm telling her to get up, that's the other thing too. Though when she's like, "Can I give him 5 more minutes?" I'm like, that's what I'm gonna push over too, because I've never been like denying myself that 5 more minutes when I need it. You know what I mean? Like,
the thing is, like, he gets up at like 6 o'clock regardless if we have something to do. So
right,
like,
he just
waking him
up.
Well,
my daughter's like that, but not at the time she needs to be for school. So like, we wake her up like probably an hour earlier than she would be normally.
He's up and entertaining himself, and then like. If it gets past a certain time and we haven't got up yet.
He's 3 now or 4? He's 3, right?
Yeah, he turned 3 last week, yeah.
So when he hits that 5 mark,
is
when you'll start to have a fucking awesome turnaround where it's another thing too, and my brother just had this with his daughter. She's a year younger than my kid, and my sister's like on the cusp of this.
Yeah.
They get to a certain age where it's like they'll watch a fucking show.
Yeah.
Like there's a certain age where they will not sit down for a show.
He'll do that.
Like they're
now.
fucking he'll watch a show now.
Yeah, like he'll
awesome.
He'll go like it's a game. Like she'll leave his tablet by his like door, so when he gets up an hour early, he doesn't come bother us. I hide it. I hide it downstairs somewhere in the house. And
he's got to seek it.
Yeah, he goes and he finds it every time. It doesn't matter where I put it. I could put it on the top of the refrigerator, and I don't want to know how or that he's dangerously going up to the top of the refrigerator. But like at 7 o'clock when my alarm goes off and I have to take him to school, I like look at his camera in his room, and he's just. Sometimes he looks like a teenage girl on the phone. Or he's on his belly and he's got his feet up and his feet and he's just kicking his feet, and I'm just like, ugh, yeah. But no, like I'm like she's like almost 100% the pushover, and I'm always like, no, you have to do this. So much so that like to get him to do things when he's like complaining to her and whining, because he knows if he whines long enough with her, he'll get his way. She'll just be like, no, Daddy will come over here and make it. He's like, no, I'm good. Okay, I'll eat all the food. I'll eat all the food.
Well, it's funny when they start understanding what they can do with who, too. That's an interesting turnaround.
I had to show her that because she didn't believe me. Like, I literally was, like, hiding.
Like, listen.
And I was like, watch. Do this. And then, like, I came out of nowhere, and he, like, stopped his fake crying. He's like, oh.
That's
actually
one thing that like, you don't realize is, like, almost like a sexual foreplay tool when your wife is struggling with the kid and you come in and you dad voice that shit, or you're like, yo, eat it now, apologize to your mother, and cut the shit. Like,
literally said the same thing.
And fucking when the kid is like, sorry mom, I apologize, like I'm gonna eat my food, I'll eat my celery, and then I'll go upstairs and get on the potty. And then that like almost assures like, oh shit, I might have just sealed the deal. Flirtation becomes a different thing when you're in different stages of your marriage.
When you're a parent. Yeah.
Where it's like they come home to a house that's fucking managed. It's like, might get some booty tonight. Fucking, it's interesting. It's very interesting how that shifts.
Well, that's another reason I wanted to have this guy on, because like his kid is like.
Yeah, you say he's a dad.
Well, his kid's I think like 4, almost 5.
Oh yeah, right in the pocket of pain in the ass and
his
awesome.
His kid's like right in between your kid and my kid's age too. So like, like it's like a cool thing to talk about. He's a single dad. Like so like that's interesting too. So like
my brother's in that same single dad boat.
I don't know like what he does but like he always seems like he's doing well enough. I don't know. Like I kind of like when I was first friends with him, and he was like, I didn't realize he was trolling so much. You know,
Right,
I was just
right.
like, oh, this guy's like taken care of because he's like from New York City, right?
Okay.
I was like, oh, this guy's like taken care of, and like he just whines about stuff. And then like now looking back, I'm like, oh, like when he posts about that stuff, he's making fun of the people.
Right,
Like
right,
he's
right.
literally making fun of his peers in the
Sure.
rehab community that are like, oh, life's so hard. My mom only gave me $10,000 this month. You know, like,
I've probably said this before on the podcast, but my wife and I have talked about this. I've talked about this with Morrison many, many a time. But like, all the 2020 has been so hard stuff is funny to me because it's like,
I
oh, just
was,
now, like just
yeah,
now it's gotten hard. Like, fuck, man. Like I've talked about it with my siblings too, where it's like, man, like I think shit's been hard for a lot of people, and maybe these
mm,
people who are vocal now, it's just now become a
you
little
know,
more difficult universally, and now there's all this outrage around it
yeah,
too, and that's a fun thing, and everybody. That's the other thing too, man. I've never seen a generation more keen on experiencing victimhood than our own. We really like to have a fucking sob story and utilize it to the best of our
yeah,
ability. And I'm guilty of that too, where you think it's whatever your story is, and you lean into who you are.
yeah,
You can risk overdoing it. You know what I
mm,
mean? Like no matter what your trauma is or whatever, not everybody always wants to hear about that shit.
yeah.
Like you know what I mean? Like
You know,
so
it's
it's one of those things where
crazy.
like you gotta watch yourself. You gotta watch that to
Yeah,
not fall into the trap of like,
yeah, their
woe
trap.
is me.
Yeah, yeah. You know,
Fucking
it's crazy. Like,
ugh.
It's it doesn't. It's not really anything to do with that. But like, I forgot today. Like this friend of mine that I worked with at Guitar Center years ago. He was like my boss,
Mm,
right? But he was like older than us. Like it would be like an older brother. That's like six or
right.
7 years older. Like he's like 6 or 7 years older than
Yeah,
us.
older brother or an older
Yeah,
cousin or
and
a
he
young uncle.
exactly, yeah. And he's like legit,
A yunkle.
and he's like legitimately one of the best guitar players on the planet. Like
Okay.
the best guitar players on the planet know him and are like, oh yeah, I've jammed with that guy. He's good. And when those guys say you're good, that means you're like on their level, right? So
Sure,
anyway,
sure.
so like he's got a Facebook page and like you know how I've been like with this whole like oh the revolution is happening, all these people are staying quiet, you know
Yeah.
like he was staying quiet about it, but I always forget because like now playing guitar is like his business, like with Marlon, and Facebook
Mm.
is like his business,
It's a platform,
right?
sure.
So like I gave him
It's a
shit.
it's a promotional platform.
Yeah,
But
well,
look,
no,
it's
no,
one of
he
those things
posted
too.
something. He posted something political. Well, kind of political. It was about that Star Wars lady getting
But
fired today.
but specifically that
Yeah,
whole even with that, right? We'll get to that in a second. But like with the whole stock revolution, everything that was going on, like I think there's probably a lot of people like me who don't know enough to be like it got my wife and I a little more active in looking
yeah,
into that world as like investment possibilities and stuff like that. But it's one of those things that like I don't know enough about it to act like I know and to give a
yeah.
fuck either, really.
Well, it
Like, and I
wasn't
think it's
even.
fucked up what happened, and
Yeah,
looking at all the government aspect of it is fucked up too. But like the
yeah,
actual numbers of
yeah,
it,
yeah.
the actual
That
thing of
part.
it, that's
Well, the cool thing about it was like it was set to autopilot for anybody that wanted to join, and that was
sure.
my whole thing. It's like everybody's talking about how they actually like fuck the government, like no matter who's in it. I'm like, yes, I agree with you. And this was like a chance to do something to
To
hurt,
fuck them,
yeah,
yeah,
to
yeah, yeah.
fuck them back, right? So anyway, like I was,
Or to at least make them show their hand
yeah,
and their degree of
exactly,
involvement with
to
all that
show
shady shit.
everybody
That's
that
kind of
they're
what
all
slowly
bad.
happened. But again,
Yeah,
we have no staying power.
but
Like
here's yeah.
us as a people,
Well,
we have
that
no
was the
fucking
point.
staying power in any of these causes.
Yeah, that was the point of me like interacting with him because he posted that
Sure.
thing that everybody was posting today, and I was just like, listen, man, like you're always talking about, like I don't care who's like in politics, whatever. And I'm like, and you're posting this when like there's a real fucking revolution happening, and then there was like a
Right.
lot of miscommunication on Facebook, and then like he messaged me, he's like, hey man, is this like what's your number? And I like texted to him. I was taking a shit because that's where I do most of my Facebooking is on the toilet, right?
I
And I
mean,
was like, he tries to call me, and I was like, hey
probably
man,
a lot of
I'll
us.
call you right back. I'm like taking a shit. I ate cheese. It's gonna be bad. And he's like, okay. I'm like, LOL. And then I called him, and he was like, because he was like, his friends were like, "Why are you talking to him like this?" And I was like, "Well, because this is how he's only ever talked to me." You know how like there's the older brother, the cocky older brother, that kind of like talks down to you, like, "Hey, kid, you don't know what's going on."
Yeah, like
All the
I
time.
have
Yeah,
older cousins and
yeah.
stuff. Yeah, yeah, that
Like
are
that's
like
how.
10 years older than you, who
Yeah.
treat you like they're 10 years older than you.
So that's how he always talked to me, like
And I've
because
got
like
younger ones that I'm sure I was that way too.
yeah, like in a boss capacity, like
Sure.
I
A
can still
snide, cunty boss.
yeah, I
Like,
still considered him
yeah.
my friend though, because like we
An
hung out.
upperclassman dickhead. That's
Yeah,
kind of like
yeah.
the vibe. Yeah.
But like he was still like he was like, yeah, but if anybody fucks with you, I'll fuck him up. That kind of thing. Like I
Sure. Well,
understood
it's like,
that
yeah,
vibe.
well, it's like you can fuck with your little
Yeah,
brother, but you can fuck with
exactly.
your little brother. Nobody
So
else can.
like I knew how I was talking to him because, and they're like, why are you talking to me? I was like, oh, I mirror the way people talk to me, and then like that hit him, and so like he called me. He's like, hey man, do you feel like I'm talking down? Like we talked on the phone because we know each other.
Because you're
We haven't
adults.
yeah we haven't
Yeah.
talked to each other in years, but like it was still he was like, hey man, because like I consider you my friend, and
Yeah.
like I don't
He
want you to
cared enough
think
to want to reach out.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's fucking awesome. And like people started to go off on me on his page, and I liked all of their their digs at me.
That's
But he
funny
was
as
just
fuck.
like, I love liking people's like derogatory comments at me. And then he even was like, hey guys, actually know each other in real life. We just talked on the phone. Everything's cool. And like it stopped. But like I like it was cool to like actually talk to somebody that I hadn't talked to in a while and like clear the air of like
To talk through something.
yeah misconstrued because like
Yeah.
we had been like kind of going at
You
each other like
actually
that for like a couple of
communicated.
years.
That was the
Yeah,
difference. A
yeah,
lot of the time, dude. Remember, I talked about it. I think last week I had like a back and forth with like a friend of a friend or
yeah.
whatever. And it's one of those things where it's like they weren't interested in communicated. They didn't have any interest in a
That's
conversation.
what I
They
told
wanted
him
to
too.
say what the
Yeah.
fuck they wanted to say. It's like
Mm-hmm.
when someone's just waiting to fucking talk. It's like one of the
Yep.
most energy consuming kinds of conversations. Once you like
Yeah.
realize if you've been talking to them for a while too, and you're like, this motherfucker's not even listening to anything I'm saying.
Yeah.
They're just fucking waiting to
Well,
babble, waiting
and
for
the other
pockets.
thing is too like all of our back and forth that we had for years, right? It wasn't like that. He was actually interacting with me, and but then he would like kind of default to like stop trolling me, man. And I'd be like, you don't know what trolling is. Like I care about you as a friend. I'm trying to actually have a conversation with you. He's like, well, that's fucked, and that's kind of where they would all fizzle out, right? But
Right.
this time he was just like, what the fuck is wrong with you? And then and then his friends started chiming in, and then I was just like, and he's like, no, call me because this is done. Because he's actually, like you
Well,
said,
it
he actually
goes to
values our friendship, which is cool.
right. Well, it
Yeah,
goes back to the whole Gina Carano thing too, right? With like talking about the Wall Street bets and all that. It's like,
yeah,
look, they fired her, whatever. Okay,
yeah.
I don't really care that much. Like,
And he explained
it's
it
a
too.
bummer,
Like,
I guess. Like, I
yeah,
don't give a fuck.
his
Though. Like,
thing was a
it's
dig at somebody else.
one thing that I
Like,
saw that was really funny
yeah.
was that there's like a petition to get that trans mixed martial artist Fallon Fox.
Oh yeah, that's like that popped up as soon as the Gina
That's
Carrera stuff
so
stopped.
wild.
The girl MMA, but isn't that old news? Didn't she already get beaten out of
She got
the
beaten and
sport?
shit, but even so, like
Is
it's
she
still a
back?
weird. No, it's just
Yeah,
still, but
then
it's like
why
a it's
why
a,
is
it's
it
a,
a
it's a,
thing
an
still?
attention grab.
That's 4 years old.
Mm-hmm.
That thing where like 4 years ago was when Joe Rogan was talking about her beating up women, and then luckily like got the shit beat out of
Yeah,
her
the
by
only
like a
problem
good
was that she didn't disclose that she had transitioned. I think that
yeah
was the only issue.
yeah
You know what I mean? But it's one of those things where the debate that becomes so politicized, you can't even have a conversation about it
exactly
in any
yeah.
kind of context without people getting all fucking
Oh,
bent out of shape.
that was another thing our guest was supposed to be on. He just asked about it. He's like, as a dad, if your son came to you and said, "I feel like a woman," what would you do? And then immediately the next like post is like, if you were a dad and your daughter comes up to you and says she wants to be a T-Rex, what do you do? Like, and he went like through the whole list of stuff, and they're like, "Oh, this is transphobic," and he's like, "No, no," he's like, "I'm trying to come at it from a logical place. Like,
Yeah.
what do you do? Because like if this is what's happening now, he's
The
like,
same way
my
you can't
kid's gonna
sign
be
legal
like 10 years
documentation
from now.
until you're
Yeah,
a certain age.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
Listen, I have no, I think if somebody
People
wants to
that
transition,
interacted with him, yeah,
they
people
should
that
be able
interacted
to.
with him were like and actually understood what he was saying. They was like he was like, yeah. So the point I'm trying to make with this that you people are seeing is that 15-year-olds are idiots and like kids are idiots, and you shouldn't be
Yeah,
letting them make those decisions.
it's
You
just like
know, like
we don't
yeah,
allow people of a certain age to consume alcohol. We don't allow people of a certain age to vote, to buy tobacco products, to buy pornographic material. So why would you don't allow a person of a certain age to get any other kind of surgery that would be elective otherwise?
Yeah.
So like you don't. I mean, listen. And if
like
someone's parents wants to allow somebody, 13, 14, 15, whatever, like, what are you gonna do? But it's one of those things where I'm not gonna let my kid make those kinds of decisions until they're at a certain age and maturity. And if my kid approached me and said, like, I feel like I'm this, I would say, well, like, then that's what you feel like you are. And if that's how you feel as you go forward, like, we'll continue to, like, talk about it and do what you want to do eventually. But, it's like, again, thing. Like, I wanted to fucking be a lot of things throughout my life. Like, so as a kid, like, your ideas change so rapidly. And not that a lot of people, I mean, obviously there's a lot more people in this day and age that are living their lives like as trans people than there were when we were younger. You know what I mean? Like, a lot more people were open about those feelings. And that's great.
My trans
I think that's a good thing. If you feel that way, and you should be who the fuck you are. Again, I don't pretend to understand it because I'm happy in my skin.
My trans friends say the same things that like my older gay relatives would say, like back in the 90s when like being gay it was like kind of trendy. They're like, yeah, all of a sudden there's more like gay people, like all of a sudden there's more trans people because like it's like a thing to get you.
Well, also attention. I think because like, a lot of people probably feel more comfortable now that they could be accepted. No, because there's a community that's like out there and vocal.
We're not talking. See, that's the difference though. Like my trans friends say there's two communities. There's like the attention-seeking people community, and then there's the real community,
real deal community or whatever. Isn't that the same with everything though, right? There's like a hardcore community and a
lot
surface
of my
community.
Trans friends. Well, I mean, I don't have a lot of trans friends, but like my trans friends are really upset that like the minority of attention-seeking people are giving them unwanted attention that they're not seeking. Same with, like I said, my older gay relatives were like, listen, I was just gay and everybody was fine with that. But now all of a sudden, like the crazy pride thing, they're like, no, I just want to live my life like a normal person. I also happen to be gay, Like,
yeah, it's like one of those things too, though, where it's like, what does anybody give a fuck what anybody wants to do with their own balls or pussy? Like, it's just like, let people whatever do what they want to do. Like, my only thing is the thing with the kids, where it's like, you should let them grow up first and figure out what they want then. Like, that's all.
Like, I don't understand.
Let their brain completely develop. This isn't like you're 25 when your brain finishes developing completely. Like,
I could see back, like, when we were growing up in the 90s where, like, it kind of needed to be a thing where, like, you had to push acceptance because we were, like, on the edge of, like, the adults just starting to accept people that were, like, gay or different at all, right?
Yeah, it's a shame that
the religious thing was big then, too. Like, religion was way against it. Now, I don't know.
It was that whole Tipper Gore era when we were kids.
That was the whole. The other thing is too. Everybody pushes. They're like, oh yeah, the '90s, the Republican Christian.
I mean, they all were shitty. Honestly,
but it was. I was like, it was all the politicians were Christian, and they were all pushing their fake morality. Yeah, and they all still are. Yeah. So, but the thing is, like,
you can read it on their bio.
But they're not like. I would be hard pressed to find, like a practicing Christian now that would say like, this gay person doesn't deserve the same things as other people do because they're gay.
Yeah, the goalposts move, and some of them should. Yeah, that's the one that should. Like when the Pope came out and said, "Why would you care if people were gay?" That's like a big milestone. That's important. I think it's necessary.
So I don't understand then where.
But I think religion's bullshit anyway. So what does it matter?
Exactly. Yeah, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Like I'm just saying, the people that were persecuting them before are not persecuting them now. So I want to know where the
yes and no, right? Like, because it's one of those things too, where it's like I don't live that life, so how the fuck can I know?
You ever watch what is that the 21 Jump Street remake?
No, I don't think so.
It's actually pretty funny. So like basically like it's like with Channing Tatum and the fat guy from Superbad.
Yeah, Jonah Hill. I know of it. I don't know if I've watched it. If I did watch it, I don't really quite remember it.
They go back to high school, right? And like Channing Tatum tries to be like the jock, like because they're like our age, right? Trying to be like
right, but it doesn't work. I think I did see that. Maybe.
Yeah, it doesn't work because they're like, yo, those are trigger words, bro. Like everybody's equal. Like that's actually how it is. So I'm like trying to figure out, like my genuine question is, I'm like, show me the people that are like persecuting you, and like we'll fight them together. You know, like Ben Shapiro says, like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
if like you can show me the people that are like,
but at the same
being like
time,
this,
I've known a lot
like
of people who are pieces of shit who fucking would like randomly yell some shit to somebody who looks different or weird to them,
yeah,
just because they're pieces of shit. And like, look,
yeah,
there's people now in my life that like you got to keep at a certain distance because you're involved with them like professionally or whatever,
yeah.
like that you don't want to like deal with on a certain level where they say certain shit. Where
Well,
you're like, Jesus
but it's not.
fucking
But
Christ.
the thing is,
Where it's like
I
you
said,
got somebody who you hire to fix your fence, and they're
well,
talking to
the
you, and they say
people
some
that
heinous shit, and you're like, all right, fuck.
yeah, the people that I'm talking about are like not the group of. Are you eating Funyuns? I'm so jealous right now.
No, I mean they're called Pitos.
Oh.
They're Funyuns made from pea protein.
Ooh, that's cool.
They taste like Funyuns.
Nice. So like,
and they're
remember
kosher.
how I was saying there's like the real group and the attention-seeking group? Like I'm talking about the attention-seeking group that's always like persecuted. There's these people, they do that. I'm like, yeah. And then literally like my trans friends are like, yeah, show me these people because like.
But I go back to being a real American and not giving a fuck either way.
Well, no, I'm saying like no. If somebody is truly like making you feel like you want to kill yourself because you're trying to be you, show me those people and we can together, you know, either try to fix the way they're thinking or like generally like fight back. But I don't know what that group is. I don't know who those people are because even the people that are like there shouldn't be, you know, like trans people in women's bathrooms like
right,
like there's the small group of them are like, yeah, because they're gonna touch our daughters. The rest of them are like, no, I mean like that's, I feel like that's reasonable that like a guy that can't just say that he's a woman shouldn't be able to go into the women's bathroom. You know what I mean? And
see, that's the other thing too, though.
That's literally
the bathroom thing didn't make any sense to me. I grew up. I mean,
my trans friends
beach bathrooms in Hollywood. I guess maybe because my family's all spics and fucking guineas. Like nobody gave a fuck. I'll go into the ladies' room now. Yeah, I got my daughter. If I see the men's room and it looks heinous, I'm like, I'm just gonna check the ladies' room.
I used to use both, like when I was like a young adult, because I was like, and people were like, why are you doing that? I'm like, this one is disgusting. Go in there, and then you'll see why. Like exactly what you said. Yeah, but like
I got a 6-year-old. If I'm like at a rest stop on the highway, and the men's room is awful, I'm going in the fucking ladies' room with my kid. I'll holler out and be like, hey, I got a kid coming through with a little, you know, give the fucking announcement. And sometimes somebody will yell back and be like, what, don't come in here. And be like, oh, I'll wait till you're, can you hold it, sweetheart? All right, we're going to hold it.
Yeah.
Fucking, I also bring a potty. So that if somewhere's real gnarly, where it's like, hey, dad'll fucking, listen.
Yeah.
If you never had your mom hold up a towel at the beach and be like, just change, all right? Nobody's going to look at your pecker, just change. You weren't raised in Florida if you haven't experienced that. That's all I can say.
Yeah. So, like, like I said, my trans friends
if you haven't watched your grandfather take a leak using the car door as a shield, are you living your life?
But my trans friends say, like, listen, if you can't tell that I'm going for, like, I'm trying to look like the sex that I'm trying to look like, then I've told you this before, they're like, then, like, I need to work on myself more because, like, I'm trying to transition to being this gender, like,
I don't know enough trans people to make that distinction. It's kind of like anecdotal.
I know, but I don't know. The thing is, all the people that I know that are like attention seeking in that genre of either being like they used to be gay, now they're trans, and now all of a sudden they've got a wife and kids, you know, like
it's one of those things though, man, where it's like whatever. Listen, call yourself whatever the fuck you want to call yourself.
But no,
be whatever you want to be.
No, that's
leave
not,
me the fuck. I just don't want to be
But
bothered.
that's not good enough anymore because if you don't say the right things to them, then you're at fault. It's like
make me. I don't care. It's like one of those things. I don't care.
It's like,
I just don't care.
It's like my buddy, who I used to work with Doug, and I didn't even know he was gay, and then and I used to use the term. I'm like, oh, that's gay all the time, you know, like with him, and like he knew that I wasn't meaning it like that. But as soon as I knew that he was gay, like the first time I did it, I was like, oh, I'm sorry. He's like, what? No, you're fine. What? Don't be gay. And I'm like, oh, okay. Like he's like cool. Like,
but that's because he was your friend too. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, so he knew you as a person, so he understood that you weren't trying to be derogatory in any way. It has more to do with like your interpersonal relationship with him than anything else.
Yeah, we're like the same age too, and that's like an age. Like it sounds terrible, but like that's
no, but it's true. It's one of those things where you hear that word all the time, and it's not really connected to the same. It's like anything else, man. Like,
but
look,
young kids that are gay, that I feel like they understand that people aren't using it in a
I just think it's
derogatory
important not to like
way. You
assume
know?
that you understand what it's like to sleep in
Yes.
anybody else's
No,
skin. That's
that's
all.
what I'm saying. When I say like my gay friends or my trans friends, like they know that my intentions are not to be trans or homophobic.
Right.
You know what I mean?
But then you got to
But they
recognize too,
know,
though, that it
but
doesn't matter
they know that
that your
somebody else
friends
that they
feel that
don't
way because
know.
other people might not.
No,
You
but
know what I mean?
they understand that people that they don't know aren't trying to be like that either. They understand that,
I
like,
guess.
because they're fucking adults, and like they understand the difference between somebody like going like, calling somebody a
Well,
fag,
some
like in a
people are just
derogatory
pussy.
way. You know what I mean?
Some
Yeah,
people are just pussy though, no matter what their gender or what their
that's the thing too.
disposition
Yeah,
is or their
and the
sexuality. Like
people that are even the
some people
louder
are just
than
soft.
yeah, and the people that are even louder than those people taking
I'm sick of
advantage of
acting
that
like that's not a
situation.
thing anymore either. Some people
Yeah.
just have fucking thin skin,
Well,
and
you
it's like
can't call
okay,
somebody a pussy because then that's
whatever.
misogynistic.
They're a fucking soft ass whatever punk ass
Yeah.
bitch. I don't know whatever the fuck you want to call it.
That's
Like
even more misogynistic. You
it's a
woman
punk ass
hater.
bitch.
You
Is
woman hater.
misogynistic.
Yeah. Well,
Really?
and also homophobic because
How is punk ass bitch?
punk is a term used for gay men in prison that get fucked.
I get.
I'm not even no, but see, this is what I'm talking about. This is just how we talk.
Yeah.
And like somebody that's not even gay or trans, that's just outraged and like a
Could be
punk ass
offended.
bitch.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but see,
they're
that's the
all
thing. You
offended
have
on
to care
behalf
about
of
that
people.
shit for it to matter. I don't give a fuck.
I mean,
I don't care.
but the thing is,
I
like,
don't care who gets mad.
I don't want people to, I don't want my friends that are gay, talk like, had to have to. So this is like what my aunt says all the time. She's like, I have to watch what I say, and my aunt's like 50, so she really, and she's gay, so
But that's like a conscious choice, right?
she
It's
talks
like,
like a dude, and she lives
but
in
it's like anything
Seattle.
else. Like
So
my
like
mother.
she's like, I have to watch what I say around these fucking pussies all the time, and I'm like,
But that's what I mean. Like, so then, like, that's a choice she's making. It's like anything else. Like Lenny Bruce had the idea that if you said these words, you could take the power away from them. And I think that there's some kind of reality in that. I also think that like when you're with your friend group is different than when it's
yeah,
like anything else, right? You can't say certain shit in a boardroom that you can say on a line, and if you're a cook, and you can't say
I
certain
don't
shit
know,
as a
man.
line cook that you can't say with your friends. Like it's like
I don't know, man. The one guy that I learned business from, who was his personal assistant for like a year, that motherfucker was wild 100% of the
well,
time, and I
there's like
literally
a tipping point, right? When you get to a
watched him
certain
make
level, a certain height.
millions. Yo, dude, I told you about like when I was working for him, and he threw up all over himself when we were on his way to
Well,
his
the
business
motherfuckers
meeting.
who are actually signing the checks
Yeah,
get a little different kind of leeway.
that's what he was, dude. Dude, so like we had been out the whole night before, and it just flowed into the next day, and he had drank his like third novelty sized vodka, like bottle. You know the ones that are like 3 feet tall. He would drink those, like in a night, and like he had drank his like third one of the week, and it
Uh,
was just like destroyed. And I was like, "Yo, we got to go to this law firm because you said there's a meeting." And he's like, "Yeah, I'm buying it." And I was like, "What?" He's like, "I'm buying the law firm." And I was like, "All right, dude." And then like we get in his Maserati, and he throws up all over himself, and he's like, "That's why I always tell you have a suit in the trunk." So like I change him on the side of the road. Like I change a
wow.
grown man on the side of the road. But like he's reeks like
How old of
vomit.
a guy was he?
He was, let's see, I was like 25 and he was like 40. That was it.
Okay.
He was pretty young for just to have money like
Closer to
that
our age
immediately.
now.
Yeah, he was close to our age now. And then like we go to this boardroom and it's full of like these snooty lawyers and they're all like making fun of him cuz like they assumed that like it was me cuz I was like
More
introducing
put
people.
together.
Yeah, yeah, and I was like wearing one of like the nicer suits that he got me and everything like it was being real polite and I was, like letting everybody know that my boss was here and stuff. And they were just making fun of him and he was just like, "Yeah? Yeah? You think it's funny? You think this is me?" And then he called him every slur for everything that you can call them. And they were like, "This is ridiculous. We're going to sue you." He's like, "You ain't got to do shit." And then like the head partners come in and they all give him a hug and they're like, "Oh, had a rough night." And he's like, "Yeah, no." And they're like, "Yeah, we know." I had like seen those guys partying on his yacht before too, so
Right.
like they knew him. And then he's like they're going through all the paperwork, and then like he's like on his last pen stroke. By the way, he had stopped speaking all fucked up. He instantly was sober as soon as they came into the room. and then like it's like literally the last pen stroke.
Yeah, he
And he
hit a
looks
gear
at those
shift.
guys, right? And he's like, "Yeah, I'm not going to buy this company unless you fire those 4 guys right now." And they're like, "Done. Clean out your offices." And they were like junior partners, like which means like they had to pay him out some money. And they're like, "What? You can't do that." And they're like, "Look, this is your new boss. You guys are gone." And he's like, "Sweet." And then right back to drunk and just sweating immediately. He's like,
That's
"Money
hilarious.
talks, bullshit walks." He would always say that and then leave though. Like we would leave, and I'm
a
like,
mic drop.
yeah, but I'm like, every time you say, it, I'm like, do you realize that like, because that's the first time. That's what he said the first time I met him. He was like destroying a $10,000 drum kit, and he said, "Money talks and bullshit walks," and he left. And I'm like, well, it must be bullshit then, right? I have to keep reminding him like, you keep saying that and then leaving, so people think you're bullshit. He's like, "No, they know who signs, like you said, they know who signs the checks. Let's go." And I'm like, all right.
That's it. It's the cash, man. I think that's the perfect story to end this episode on right there.
I got more stories about that guy.
Well, fucking,
yeah.
we will
Whenever.
broach those another night. This has been another episode.
Yeah. It was fun. No interaction, but
it always is.
Still a good time. They're up there.
Yeah, it always is a good time.
Yep.
We'll be back again soon, and more food videos coming. That's going to be a big part of our push in the next couple months. So hopefully you guys enjoy those and continue to watch them and like them. I think what we learned tonight is we know nothing.
As always. That's like my friend that I talked to on the phone the other day or today. He was like, I always use the thing that I remember. Like, it's one of the good pieces of wisdom that I remember from when I was younger. He'd always say, like, the only thing I know is that I don't know everything.
That's it, man. That's all we can really be sure of. And I think it's an important note to go out on, is to say, like, whatever we're talking about here, whatever anybody's talking about anywhere, nobody really knows what the fuck they're doing in this life. They're just trying to figure out as they go. They're trying to make the best choices they can. And hopefully they're trying to do the least harm that they can fucking do to the people around them and uplift, the people around them as best as they can. Because what the fuck else are we doing here? Might as well try and have a good time. Yeah. And if you're going to be happy being whoever you're going to be, do that shit. Do it. Enjoy this short, weird little thing of life.
Yep. Also, all the people that are watching our videos recently, I see that you're not subscribing. So, like 400 people a day now watching our stuff. Come on. Just hit some subscribes, man. So you always know, like, when our next terrible video or terrible podcast is coming out.
Yeah. You can watch us cook something and get fatter eating it.
Yep. Alrighty.
Thanks for watching either way.
Woo.
Fuck right off.